Hey, welcome everyone to this evening's Monday, May 24th, 2021 virtual regular meeting of the Livermore City Council. We began with a closed session at 6:30, and I'd like at this point to ask if there was any report out from the closed session.
Mr. Mayor, this is your City Attorney, Jason Alcala. No reportable action was taken in closed session.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. And can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bonanno.
Here.
Councilmember Carling.
Here.
Councilmember Kick.
Here.
Vice Mayor Monroe. Vice Mayor Monroe.
Vice Mayor, you're muted. Vice Mayor, can you hear us? You are muted.
I don't think she can hear us.
Mayor, I'm going to mute for just one moment and give her a call.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Monroe, this is a test.
I am here and I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can barely hear you, so you might have to get closer to your mic. So we were in the roll call for the Vice Mayor.
She's still working on it, Mayor.
Okay.
About now.
Perfect.
Okay, well, I guess that'll just be the way it'll be. Sorry about that.
Are you here?
I am. I am. I'm here and I can hear. So yeah.
Great. Okay.
Mayor Warner.
Here. So right at this point, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. You can follow along with me. If I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we're on to item 2, which is proclamations and presentations. And I have 2.1 is a proclamation declaring June as Safety Awareness Month. And I will start with that, and then city staff will be here to accept it and maybe say a word or two. Here's the, you can see the whole proclamation. I'll read the highlights. Proclaiming Safety Awareness Month, June 2021. Whereas due to the COVID-19 pandemic, at no other time in recent history has the safety of Livermore employees and residents been more paramount than it is now. And whereas the city of Livermore supports national safety efforts and has taken a proactive stance in providing a safe and healthy work environment for its employees and residents through the formation of the Central Safety Committee to ensure the safety of all City of Livermore employees and residents by providing training, education, and outreach, and encourage continual improvement in community and workplace safety and health. And whereas the Risk Management Division will hold a virtual safety fair consisting of safety trainings to take place during 1 week in June, Now, therefore, the City Council, the City of Livermore, proclaims June 2021 as Safety Awareness Month and urges all residents to help reduce accidents, injuries, and illnesses by practicing safe and healthy behaviors in all aspects of their lives. So we have, just a second, Janet Hamilton, our risk manager, will be present to accept the safety award. Is she here? Would she like to say anything?
I am, and thank you very much. We appreciate the recognition from the City Council. And we will be having, unfortunately, a virtual safety fair this year because we are not yet allowed to gather, but we'll look forward to doing it next year. But we will put an emphasis on some virtual safety trainings. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for all you and your associates do in this area. It's highly important, as we all know. So thank you. Item 2.2 is the advisory confirmation of the advisory body appointments. And we have several, and I'll read them out. To the Beautification Committee, we have Sandra Lormand. To the Historic Preservation Commission, we have Miss Michelle Setchell. To the Housing Authority, that's the tenant, is Heather Casey. To the Human Services Commission, Sandra O. Library Board of Trustees, Lainey Pascal and Richard Hunt. And to the Livermore Area Youth Advisory Commission, LAAC, Asmith Aluri and Natalie May. So that's what we have, and congratulations to everyone. So I think that's, so what we need to do, I believe, is confirm the advisory body appointments and direct the city clerk to schedule individual meetings with the new members to administer the oath of office. So do I have a motion on that?
I'll move confirmation.
Okay, I see.
Mayor?
Oh, yes.
We have several hands raised. I'd like to just remind our attendees that if you do not have a comment for item 2.1, to please lower your hand.
I don't believe item, so it would have to be on item 2.2 and not 2.1.
Or
Right?
2.2, I apologize.
Okay, so let's see. Do we have anybody with their hands raised? Sorry about that. For item 2.2, the confirmation of advisory body appointments. Anybody want to address us relative to that?
Mayor, we do not have any comments. Thank you.
Okay, but I do see a couple of council members' hands raised, so we should let them speak, right? So I think I heard Councilmember Carling move the confirmation, and so let's see. I'm going to have to figure out on the, and I see Vice Mayor Monroe is next up to speak.
I was going to second. Actually, I was going to make the motion, but Councilmember Carling beat me to it. So I'll just second it.
Okay. And Councilmember Kick, would you like to say anything?
I was trying to second. There's some.
Okay, well, we'll
nice
have to allow
places there.
thirds and fourths, I guess. Okay, so
Let's
can we
just
have
vote on it.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bonanno,
Aye.
Councilmember Carling,
Aye.
Councilmember Kick,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Monroe,
Aye.
Mayor Warner.
Aye. So thank you for that. We are now on to item, let's see, just 4.1 is simple. Oh, I think I've got some, no, we're on now to Citizens Forum. So could the city clerk tell people how to participate, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Tonight we are using the Zoom meeting platform. When participating in this portion of tonight's meeting, one comment may be given per person per item. Members of the public can participate by using the raise hand feature or *9 if calling in when the item begins. Please do not wait until the public comment period opens for each item to raise your hand. Instead, raise your hand as soon as the item is introduced. Once public comment opens, each participant's name will be announced and their 3 minutes will begin upon being unmuted. The mayor will announce the conclusion of the public comment period after comments have been voiced into the record.
Okay, and before we start the public comment period on this, again, it's for items that are not on the citizens forum. It's for items that are not on the agenda. And I want to make it clear that we have 3 minutes here, but I anticipate that when we get to item 5.2, there'll be many hands raised. And I'm also anticipating that given the number of hands, we'll see for sure when it happens, but it will be at 1 minute. So please don't confuse the 3 minutes for this with the 1 minute that I anticipate later on in the agenda. So at this point, do we have anybody who wants to address us on Citizens Forum?
Honorable Mayor, yes, we do. The first speaker will be Carol Chagrin, followed by Jackie Coda, followed by Brian Warner. Carol Chagrin, please unmute yourself. Carol Chagrin, please unmute yourself.
Pronounced Chargan. She may not recognize it.
My apologies. Carol Chargan.
I did not call in.
Okay. Then I'll lower your hand for you. Okay, we will move on to Jackie Coda, followed by Michael Mendenhall. Jackie Coda, please unmute your.
Hello, thank you very much. I appreciate it. My comment tonight on the Citizens Forum is to respectfully request that the City Council move back to in-person public meetings. It has been months and months and months that we have been on a virtual meeting. There's no reason for it. We have a brand new City Council chambers that is adequately staffed and adequately set up for proper social distancing according to your desires. And there's no reason for us to continue these virtual meetings. It has been months that we have not been able to look you in the eyes and tell you exactly how we're feeling about things that are going on in the city. Not only that, you are actually precluding citizens from our community to be able to come and speak to you in person. Those people who do not have adequate technology to join a meeting on Zoom, as well as there is no ability for anyone to make public comment on YouTube. So I am respectfully requesting that our City Council consider bringing us back into live meetings, maybe in a hybrid, allowing some people to actually attend virtually on Zoom and on YouTube, but also in person, because we have a number of community members who have not been able to make public comment because of the fact that they do not have the proper tools to be able to speak to you on council during the meetings. Thank you much.
The next speaker is Michael Mendenhall, followed by Dan Pierce. Michael Mendenhall, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. I am Dr. Michael Mendenhall, a Livermore District 3 resident and employee of a well-known local national lab. Like most workers at my lab, the majority of whom can't live in the Tri-Valley at all, I suffer from the struggle to find and retain decent housing, and currently live in a fifth-wheel trailer. As many commenters on the Affordable Housing Project have noted, the project is about the city's character and beauty. Of the many places I have lived and rented, Livermore is the one where I have felt treated with contempt, marginalized, and driven to fear and despair about the prospects of keeping a roof over my head. This attests to an ugliness in the city's character that no quantity or quality of open space landscaping can beautify. That is why I am speaking today to commend the Mayor and City Council for moving forward with Eden Affordable Housing and urge them to stay the course. I'm also speaking to my fellow
excuse me, that's item 5.2, and a citizens forum is for items that are not on the agenda. So you
I
might wanna
apologize.
maybe-
I came misprepared for what would be possible during this meeting.
Right. No, it's 5.2. So I think if you could save your comments for then, that's appropriate.
But you said that's a 1 minute comment slot?
For 5.2, yes.
Thank you, and apologies for the confusion.
Okay, and I hope the rest of the speakers in line realize Eden Housing is 5.2. It's not for the citizens forum.
The next speaker is Dan Pierce. Dan Pierce, please unmute yourself.
Hello, this is my first time Zooming with you folks. I'm a lifelong Livermore resident. I would just take a brief moment to encourage you, if at all possible, to find a way to open up the city council meeting so we can have active citizen participation. But until then, I'm thankful for the Zoom meeting, and that's all I want to say. Thank you so much.
And that concludes public comment. Oh,
Okay, I'm
actually,
closing.
sorry, Mayor. Someone just raised their hand. Veronica Stewart Long, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, esteemed council members, and city staff for everything you do to make Livermore a good place to live. I want to say something to about council norms and values and mission, and the mission statement. In particular, one of them is entitled Encourage Civic Engagement. We value and encourage the input of others and challenge ideas, not individuals, in our role as policymakers. We recognize the importance of input from various groups and seek to actively engage the community. I want to respectfully remind you and gently ask that you keep the norms and values and your vision and your mission statement in mind. I'm doing this because I've been watching council meetings and noticed a disturbing trend. At every single meeting that I have watched lately, I have heard comments that are somewhat disparaging against citizens or citizen groups. For example, when following a public comment session, like right now, this period of time, when the council says, "Does anyone even think anymore?" I do not regard that as being respectful or following your norms and values. I've heard other things at other meetings I won't repeat now, but I would just like to ask that you keep your norms and values in mind. The fact that we get 1 minute to speak on an important community topic that will be overrun with people recruited by outside organizations is another example of where our voice is not really being sought. I don't see seeking to actively engage the community with giving people 60 seconds to say something. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
The next speaker is Carl Wente, followed by Vaughn Dragu. Carl Wente, please unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Carl Wente, 5565 Tesla Road, live just outside of town. But I would like to thank Mr. Mayor, City Council for the great job that you do. It's not an easy task, but representing all of Livermore, the various opinions as they come through. Thank you to the last speaker for encouraging all of us to remember the norms and the values by which we subscribe. And so may we continue to honor each other as fellow people of Livermore, fellow humans of Livermore. Also like to take this opportunity to thank the city staff for the phenomenal job that they do. Any questions when you can come in, the likes, it's a very good staff you have there, Mr. Robert. So to be commended, thank you all so much. those who put on a badge to protect us and take care of us, got to put on a bulletproof vest to go to work. We salute you for what you do. Thank you so much. Cheerio.
The next speaker is Von Dragoo. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor and council members, I'm here to speak about one of the key initiatives that has come out of our new city plan and the startup and integration of Stockman's Park and the creation of the Quest Science Center. And I'm speaking today because of some new initiatives that we have at the Science Center, especially as it relates to children and especially middle schoolers. We have a summer camp that we're launching this year that will include experiences in electricity and magnetism and experiences in mechanical engineering. Focused on middle schoolers, as that's a critical point and a critical age for bringing forward STEM and interest in STEM and science and engineering. What's great about this summer camp is that we've received support from a number of local nonprofits and laboratories with a special focus on underserved individuals and underserved children. So we're proud to present this summer camp this year. It's larger than we've done before, and it will be in person for the first time, and will reach a large number of the underserved community. Be sure to check out our website at questsciencecenter.org, and you can read the details about this summer camp. Registration is open now, and the camp begins in the last 2 weeks in June. We will look forward for our middle schoolers in our area to join our summer camp. Thanks very much.
Okay. I'd like to thank the Quest Science Center for all you're doing here, and hope that you get the participation you're looking for.
That was the last speaker, Mayor.
Okay, I'll close the citizens forum, and we're now on to item 4, the consent calendar. And I'll start with asking if there's any public comment on the consent calendar.
Mayor, no comment has been received.
Okay, I will close public comment on the consent calendar. And now I'd like to bring it back to the council here. And I think we've got the calendar broken into 2 parts so that Councilmember Bonanno can abstain from the approval of the draft minutes. So can we start with item 4.1, and you have a motion on that? Okay, I see Vice Mayor Monroe. I take it you're moving it?
Yes,
And
someone's got to do it. I move. I so move.
I'll second.
everybody was so fast on the other one, and now you're so slow. What's happening? So I don't see a second. I'll second it. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bonanno,
I abstain.
Councilmember Carly,
Aye.
Councilmember Kick,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Monroe,
Aye.
Mayor Warner.
Aye. Okay, it passes. 4 ayes and 1 abstention. So now we have the rest of the consent calendar. Does any council member want to discuss any one of these items? See no hands, so can I get a motion for the rest of the consent calendar? Councilmember Bonanno, it looks like she moved.
I would.
And seconded by Vice Mayor Monroe. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bonanno,
Aye.
Councilmember Carly,
Aye.
Councilmember Kick,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Monroe,
Aye.
Mayor Warner.
Aye. So the consent calendar passes. So we're now item 5.1, I'd like to point out, has been removed from the agenda, and will be added to a future meeting. So we are now on to item 5.2. And at this point, I just want to see how many hands are raised. I'm seeing a lot of hands raised. I'll just pause for a moment here. I see that we have over 200 attendees and already got over 90 people who wish to speak. So I will follow through with the decision that I've been telegraphing for a couple of weeks. We'll limit public comment on this to 1 minute, because our experience has also been found that as we go through this, additional people raise their hands. So we're going to begin. So just with that heads up, prepare your comments for 1 minute when we get to that point. But right now, we're going to start with the staff report.
Honorable Mayor,
So,
this is
okay.
Mark Roberts, your city manager. And I'd like to introduce Jake Potter, who is associate planner and is the project planner for the item this evening. And with that, I'll let Jake take over and start our presentation.
Great, thank you. Just going to go ahead and share my screen real quickly. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight we'll be discussing the Eden Downtown Housing Project, which will implement the City Council's adopted plan for the downtown core. By way of background, redevelopment of the downtown core began in 2002 with the conclusion of the Livermore Vision Project final report. During the subsequent general plan update, the community expressed the importance of revitalizing and intensifying Livermore's downtown. The 2004 downtown specific plan then identified housing on the Livermore Village site, and in 2006, a 281 unit housing proposal was approved. You can see the Anderson Pacific proposal images on the right-hand side of the screen. The project was not developed, however, and the city acquired the Lucky's Catalyst site for housing. Next, in 2009, a 2,000-seat regional theater was approved, and approximately 300 housing units were proposed on the western portion of the site. Again, you can see images on the right-hand side of the screen for that proposal. And for reference, the top of the fly tower on the theater was approximately 95.5 feet tall. The project was never constructed, and in 2016, another development was proposed with 263 residential units. That project was never approved. And you'll notice that all previous development proposals for the site included housing in the northwest corner of the downtown core. Again, you'll see images of the 2016 proposal on the right-hand side of the screen. Subsequently to the previous efforts, the City Council formed a downtown steering committee and conducted extensive public outreach in 2017 for downtown redevelopment. Ultimately, in 2018, the council approved a new downtown core plan and entered into an agreement with Eden Housing to construct affordable housing on the project site. The plan included 130 residential units, and the Planning Commission recommended approval of the residential portion of the plan in April. Similar to the previous development proposals over the years, public feedback during this community engagement identified the northwest corner as a suitable location for housing. The current design proposes less housing than any previous proposal. So the City Council has previously taken 4 legislative acts related to the subject property, and we're showing those here on the screen. Again, beginning in 2004 with the adoption of the Downtown Specific Plan, and ending in 2019 with the second round of Downtown Specific Plan amendments that implemented the approved core plan. The legislative decision to locate housing on the site has been previously made. The Council's consideration this evening is a culmination of a 19-year process to redevelop the project site with affordable housing. Before discussing the project details, it's important to cover the review procedure for the items for Council's consideration this evening. In response to community feedback and subsequent to the Planning Commission meeting, the applicant submitted for 4 separate density bonus requests in accordance with state density bonus law. Given the applicant's use of state density bonus law, the Council has 2 primary actions this evening, ministerial and quasi-judicial. Pursuant to state law, ministerial approval of each density bonus request is required. Each request is listed on the screen on the left-hand side and will be discussed in more detail on the next slide. The Council must grant the density bonus, height increase, and parking relief by right. while incentives are to be granted by right if no findings of denial can be made. For this project, staff has found the findings of denial cannot be made as described in the staff report. The second action for council's consideration is a quasi-judicial review of items not covered by the state density bonus law, including items like landscaping and architectural design. The council is to determine whether or not these items and these remaining project items are consistent with the general plan, downtown specific plan, and other objective city standards. There are no legislative acts for the council's consideration this evening. Again, the applicant has submitted for 4 separate density bonus requests in accordance with state density bonus law, as shown on the slide. No physical changes to the project have occurred since the Planning Commission meeting, and the project still proposes 130 affordable units within a half mile of a major transit stop. Units would be affordable to individuals with incomes between 20 and 60% of Alameda County's area median income. And given these attributes and through state density bonus law, the project qualifies for a density bonus, a height increase, relief from parking standards, and up to 4 incentives to modify development standards, irrespective of local policy. State density bonus law would allow the project to have no maximum density. However, the project proposes 52 dwelling units an acre, which is consistent with the specific plan and conforms to state density bonus law. The law also allows for the project to be up to 7 stories or 88 feet in height. However, the project is 4 stories and 49 feet maximum, again, which complies with state law. No parking is required through state density bonus law, but the project does propose a 1-to-1 parking ratio with additional guest and employee parking, again in conformance with the law. Finally, state density bonus law allows the applicant to request up to 4 incentives, also known as concessions, that would waive the city's local development standards like lot coverage and setback. The applicant is only submitted for 1 incentive to waive the downtown specific plan street side setback requirements, again in conformance with state density bonus law. In summary, the project is proposing less density, less building height, more parking, and utilizing less incentives than allowed under state law. For these reasons, the project is in conformance with state density bonus law. So moving into the project itself, the site is approximately 2.5 gross acres and is located at the southeast corner of L Street and Railroad Avenue. The project site's bounded by L Street, Railroad Avenue, and Veterans Way, and is nearby Stockman's Park to the east. The project site's generally flat, vacant, and contains temporary downtown parking. The Legacy Market Rate Apartment project is located to the west, while parcels to the south and east will ultimately contain the Black Box Theater, the Quest Science Center, and the L Street Public Parking Garage. The proposed project meets key criteria of the City Council's adopted downtown core plan, including 130 affordable units, a large public park, and partnership with an experienced affordable housing developer. The housing consists of 2 4-story buildings with underground parking, as we're showing at the top left-hand corner of the screen, with a mix of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. The approximately 0.7-acre green space between the buildings would be dedicated for Veterans Park. The project also includes a parcel map to subdivide the parcel and an amendment to the disposition, development, and loan agreement to be discussed later in the presentation. Moving on to the project's architecture, the project does propose a highly detailed Santa Barbara style that incorporates design features and materials to distinguish the project and complement other traditional building styles in downtown Livermore. The image on the screen is looking north from Veterans Way and demonstrates the building's rich materials like smooth stucco walls and Spanish S-tiling roofing, and demonstrates the expansive detailing like large eave overhangs and rafter tails in conformance with specific plan requirements. The next image is looking west between the 2 buildings along Veterans Park. The image demonstrates how the building's massing steps down at the corners to increase compatibility with adjacent properties and promote a human scale in conformance with the design standards and guidelines. It also shows how the buildings will seamlessly integrate into Veterans Park and surrounding parcels. The project architect will provide additional details on architecture and design themes later in the presentation. The project's landscape plan includes a mix of street trees, on-site trees, shrubs, and ground covers. Majority of the plant palette includes California natives and pollinators, which will be well suited to Livermore's climate and promote increased biodiversity. The proposal includes large double rows of street trees, offering shade, screening, and buffering along project edges. The ultimate design of Veterans Park is not included in this proposal and returned to council for review at a later date. The project also exceeds private open space requirements to be provided in locations like courtyards and terraces. As discussed on the density bonus slide of this presentation, state density bonus law preempts local standards and allows for no parking to be provided. However, as mentioned, the project proposes 2 underground parking garages, one beneath each building footprint. Access would be provided from L Street and Railroad Avenue, and the 2 garages would provide 117 on-site private assigned spaces. An additional 29 resident and guest spaces are proposed within the adjacent and approved L Street garage. Again, the proposed stalls would result in a 1-to-1 parking ratio for the units, and staff supports the ratio given that the project traffic study and other comparable Eden projects demonstrate that it's sufficient. The traffic study also found there'd be no significant impact on surrounding intersections levels of service, and the project would have a less than significant impact on vehicle miles traveled and would exceed on-site bicycle parking requirements. In support of the city's general plan and climate action plan, the proposed project will incorporate sustainability measures into its construction and operations. For example, the project proposes rooftop photovoltaic arrays that would provide enough electricity to power common areas like hallways, lobbies, and garages. In addition, the buildings will be all electric and fixtures will be water and energy efficient. As such, the buildings would receive Green Point ratings, which is similar to a LEED certification. With these measures in place, the project would reduce its carbon footprint, decrease its water and energy use, and be within walking distance of transit, ultimately increasing the development's sustainability. City Council's approved disposition, development, and loan agreement with Eden outlined a proposed timeline to design, entitle, and secure financing for the project. The agreement describes the city's commitment to contribute land towards the project and provides Eden with a pre-development loan of $500,000. Over the past 2 years, Eden has worked to develop a financing plan that leverages the city's investment. Eden's now working to secure entitlements and make updates to the agreement, which will better position them for the state of California low-income housing tax credit program application. Staff recommends 5 updates to the agreement, which reflect the project's financing and development responsibilities, including refining the property conveyance, providing an option for Veterans Park construction, adding prevailing wage requirements, adding off-site reimbursement, and updating the performance schedule timeline. Ultimately, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on April 20th and recommended project approval. The proposed project is also consistent with and implements the general plan, the downtown specific plan, and the council's adopted downtown core plan. For these reasons, the Planning Commission and staff recommend the City Council find the project exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, approve the project, and authorize the city manager to execute an amendment to the Eden agreement. Thank you. That concludes my presentation, but first, I believe Eden Housing would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Jake. Mayor Warner and members of the council, this is Linda Mandolini, the CEO of Eden Housing. I'm really excited to be here tonight on the cusp of moving forward with this terrific affordable housing development. I know the city has been working on this for more than a decade, and we're really pleased to be so close to bringing it to reality. We'd like to thank the city for its vision, for the council and the previous leaders on the council for working to make this site affordable housing. And we'd like to thank the staff for their very hard work to get us to tonight. For those of you who are not familiar with Eden's work, we are a nonprofit affordable housing development organization that has been building housing since 1968. We got our start right here in Alameda County, where we're still based, and we've developed more than 10,000 units of affordable housing throughout California. Next slide. Eden is a full-service nonprofit development organization. We build and manage affordable housing, but we go beyond bricks and mortar and provide services to our residents. In projects like the one before you this evening, these services include after-school programs and technology programs, and of course, our scholarship program, which we give every year to residents that live in our housing. The picture on this slide is Diana, a resident of one of our properties here in Livermore, who's studying to be a nurse. And we all know how important it is to provide housing for essential workers like Diana in our communities. So we're thrilled that this project will do more of that kind of work. Next slide. Eden has been partnering with Livermore since 1993, and we're proud partners on you with 4 properties here in the city. Next slide. We did our first project in 1993, Stony Creek Apartments, and we partnered with you 2 years ago to give that project a facelift so that we could improve all of its sustainability features and also expand on the community space in the property. It's a really terrific property, and we were thrilled to have a grand reopening with you in the city and to have several of the council members attend that event. And you see a picture there of that event. Next slide. This is a picture of our Vandenberg Villa project. It's a development named after our founding board member who was with us for 48 years, and it provides very low income senior housing to fixed income seniors. And the waiting list here is so long that it could take up to 10 years to get in. Next slide. I don't have to tell any of you about how urgent the need is for affordable housing in this community and in our county. The Livermore Housing Authority has more than 13,000 households on its waiting list for Section 8, and Eden has 11,000 households on our waiting list here in Alameda County. And sadly, in your own school district, you have 120 homeless children who go to school every day. We really, really need to move now to solve the housing crisis in this community. Next. This project is designed to serve the local workforce. As Jake mentioned, we're serving families between 20 and 60% of the area median income. That's families who earn $27,400 a year to $82,000 a year for a family of 4. That is a wide range of professions and includes many in our essential workforce, particularly those in the downtown workforce: restaurant workers, retail workers, healthcare workers, entry-level teachers, daycare workers, and many others. Next slide. The opportunity before you tonight is now. It's current and it's really fortunate. It's a project that can be achieved in the next 3 years. It's critical that we move this project forward tonight so that we can apply for financing from the state of California this year. We have a grant in the amount of $14.4 million from Alameda County that is specific to this site. We cannot move it. It has to go to this site in this location. We can't just go looking for a new site and take 10 more years to do this project. The financing structure is also very cost effective for the city. Without this grant, the city would be on the hook for all of the subsidy that you need to build a housing project like this, which means you'd be coming out of pocket for $14.4 million to replace the county's funding. And last, but certainly not least, we have a really terrific project that meets the needs of the local workforce and can help the city achieve its housing goals. We've assembled a terrific team to move this project forward, including the Dahlin Group architects, who are an award-winning, nationally recognized Tri-Valley-based architecture firm. So I'm going to turn it over to Brett to walk you through the project in a little more detail.
Thanks, Linda. So my name is Brett Bailey, and I'm a principal with Dahlin Group Architecture Planning. We're headquartered in Pleasanton, and we're very honored to work with Eden Housing and Livermore staff on the design of 130 workforce housing residences to be located in 2 very unique building forms, one facing Railroad Avenue, consisting of 79 residences, and the other fronting Veterans Way, consisting of 51 residences. A contemporary slant on a Spanish-influenced Santa Barbara architectural style has been selected for this project. And the style borrows from Livermore's unique history and will also accentuate the legacy project under construction on the opposite side of L Street. We've paid particular attention to the key characteristics and details of this style, and we've designed the project so that key views throughout the community will feature these unique details. In the following slides, I'd like you to please note in the bottom right corner the location of these key views. So if I could have the next slide, please. So here is the north building that faces Railroad Avenue at the corner of L Street. The Santa Barbara style in the project features white and taupe smooth stucco, which creates a backdrop for and accentuates the deep red tile roofs, broad eaves with exposed wood rafters, recessed windows emphasizing thick plastered walls, very characteristic of the Santa Barbara style. Gable ends at the roof line consist of scalloped rakes for additional architectural interest. You'll notice here numerous street trees and additional landscape within the 10-foot setback provide lush landscaping and a privacy for the residents. The existing bus stop on Railroad will remain where it is currently. Next slide, please. So both the northern and the southern buildings consist of underground parking, which has been mentioned previously, which is very unique, I think, for an affordable project. But no parking for the residents will be visible, all below grade. And here is the ramp you can see on the right with the vehicle entrance to the north building. And then on the left side is the pedestrian entrance off of Railroad Avenue. Next slide. This is a view from Stockman's Park, looking across Veterans Park, showing the park concept with the lamp line sidewalks, leading visitors from Stockman's Park through Veterans Park towards L Street. You can see the Legacy project in the distance with its courtyard facing L Street. Next slide. And here's a view of the beautiful hills of Livermore from the top of the Black Box Theater looking down into Stockman's Park. You can see the public playground in the foreground, which will be located at the east end of the southern building, which fronts Veterans Way. Next slide. This is a little closer perspective of the southern Veterans Way building in the eastern end. This is the resident community room, the one-story massing that faces Veterans and Stockman's Park, and also fronts the public playground area. This one-story element and covered porch is appropriately scaled to meet the public playground immediately to the east of this area. Next slide, please. The roof lines on the east end of both buildings step down as they move east to approach the public playground area and the two-story science center and Black Box Theater, and also Stockman's Park. I'd also point out, and evident in this perspective, is the beautiful Santa Barbara style details: deep roof overhangs, roof corbels, beautiful rainwater collector boxes, street lights, deep recessed windows with blue colored frames that really pop against the smooth white stucco. A resident balcony is also prominent on each building, which adds interest to the facade and also provides a common outdoor space for residents to gather and enjoy a conversation on their private balcony. Next slide. This is the corner of the southern building facing Veterans Way, and this is the access from the vehicle access that is from the L Street frontage. To the far right side would be the entrance onto Veterans Way. And then, and also note here some of the key details. Again, you can see some of the chimney elements, the deep roof lines, the stepping down as we move towards L Street, and the resident entry parking porch there with deep window cutouts and wrought iron detailing you can see there. Next slide. This is a view of looking down L Street to the south towards the donut wheel, and the Eden community is similarly scaled to the neighboring Legacy community on the opposite side on your right on L Street. The next slide. This is a view from Veterans Park as seen from Stockman's Park, so between the Black Box Theater and the Quest Science Center. This gives you a sense of the public playground, what will eventually happen there, hopefully. And again, the lampline streets or lampline sidewalks leading out to L Street. Next slide. So we're very excited about this project. It's a beautiful site. It's wonderful that it's connected, so well connected to the downtown and the Livermore community. We love the connectivity to First Street, the various links to the First Street and the offerings that are along First Street. We know it'll be great for the businesses that are on First Street. We're looking forward to 130 new resident opportunities in this walkable part of the downtown. And we know that Eden Housing, who we work with on numerous projects, will do a wonderful job managing this community for decades to come. And I'd like to turn the balance of the time over to Linda Mandolini. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Brett. I just want to wrap up by reiterating the need for affordable housing. This is a huge opportunity for the city to make a significant dent in the community's housing challenge and to do it in a way that's an effective use of the city's scarce housing resources. We've designed a project that is the smallest ever proposed for this site and offers significant public amenity in the public park. It's an excellent opportunity to solve the urgent housing need in the city, and we would urge you to consider moving forward tonight. I'd like to just thank you again for the opportunity to be here, thank the staff for their very hard work, and note that Eden's entire team is available for questions for the Q&A. Thank you again.
So I think at this point, we'll open up public comment unless there's no further staff comment at this point, right, or presentations. That's correct?
That's correct, Your Honor. Okay,
and so the city clerk wants to make an announcement, but before she does that, I want to again reiterate, this is a nearly an unprecedented amount of speakers and attendees that we've had, limiting it to 1 minute. And the idea for this is so that we can hear from everybody. And that's very important. I fully anticipate more speakers will be raising their hands as we go than we have at the moment. That's been the past practice. And I would also like to remind people, as we've said in the past, if you have more lengthy comments, they can always be submitted in writing, and we do read them. And I haven't gotten approval for this, but also after this evening, you can send us additional emails. And I would point out that the intent is after public comment, we will be adjourning this meeting and we'll be doing our deliberations starting at 2 tomorrow afternoon. That way we have plenty of time to carefully consider everything we've heard, and we'll be fresh and we'll be able to have good deliberations. I see Councilmember Kick would like to say something.
Can you just clarify, so we will hear all public comment tonight, and when we adjourn, we'll come back just to deliberations, no more public comment, correct?
Yes. That's the way it'll work. And so the idea is want everybody to be able to have a chance to speak this evening, and then we'll adjourn until 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll begin our deliberations. And before that, of course, we'll be asking staff and the applicant questions in that process. So thank you for asking that question. So City Clerk, would you wanted to make an announcement as well?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to give a quick reminder to all of those joining us this evening that there is one public comment per person per item. So if you submitted a public comment earlier today, Council has received those comments and they are available on the website. So please do not also submit a verbal comment so that we can ensure everyone gets to voice their public comment this evening. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Okay, and I should also point out, this is our practice, is that we go 2 hours and then we take a 10-minute break. So we'll start taking public comment now, and at 9 o'clock, we'll take a 10-minute break and then resume with the public comment. So I think all the instructions are out there. Do you want to remind people again how to participate, perhaps, for those that may not know?
Yes, Mayor. Participating in this portion of tonight's meeting, one comment may be given per person, per item. Members of the public can participate by using the raise hand feature or *9 if you're calling in when the item begins. Please do not wait until the public comment period opens for each item to raise your hand. Instead, raise your hand as soon as the item is introduced. Once public comment opens, each participant's name will be announced and their 1 minute will begin upon being unmuted. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, with that, let's begin.
The first speaker is Victor Almeida, followed by John Marchand, followed by Marty Sutton. Victor Almeida, please unmute yourself.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right, cool. Okay, hi members of the City Council. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the public. I am Victor Almeida, and I've been a Livermore resident for 20 plus years. I'm an essential worker at the Home Depot, a member of the ARC of the East Bay, and a member of Genesis of the Tri-Valley. I identify as someone who lives with autism, which some people think that's a disability. I also take public transit to get to my job. I'm currently a resident of affordable housing, and I'm here to support the Eden Housing Project in downtown. There is a housing crisis here in the Tri-Valley, and there are the three reasons why I am in support of affordable housing. One, people who live in affordable housing help the community. Two, I work in a region, I'm a taxpayer, and I'm a volunteer with Genesis. And three, I enjoy living with a diversity of neighbors. Thank you, City Council, for supporting affordable housing residents like me.
The next speaker is John Marchand, followed by Marty Sutton, followed by Monique Lavarasan. Oh, excuse me, Scott. Yeah, John Marchand. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening. Thank you. It's been a while since I've been on this side of the dais. The question before you tonight is very simple. Does this development meet the city standards that you agreed upon and put in place? There is no alternative plan, and those who are speaking in favor of it are misinformed. There have been absolutely no public hearings to develop an alternative plan. All we have seen are fanciful drawings that a handful of people imagined in secret away from any public participation. There have been no independent financial, engineering, or traffic analyses on this alternative drawing. No one has brought any discussion of this alternative drawing to the city, the school district, or the park district. The Planning Commission chairman said it best. This Eden development is for the people who serve you your food and teach your children. Tonight, the best answer is yes. The way we get to a win-win is to move this project forward. Thank you.
The next speaker is Victor Almeida, followed by Marty Sutton, followed by Sue Marchand. Victor Almeida, please unmute yourself.
Okay, hi members of the City Council. Thanks for taking the time to listen to us.
Oh, wait.
Oh, excuse me, did we already hear from Victor?
Yes, sir, my apologies.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay,
Thanks, Victor.
okay, you're welcome.
The next speaker will be Marty Sutton, followed by Sue Marchand, followed by Genesis. Marty Sutton, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I support the Eden Housing Project. This is our opportunity to have homes in our community for local teachers, healthcare workers, restaurant workers, and police department staff. If we do not take this opportunity now, we may never have another chance to build affordable housing in Livermore. My family moved to Livermore 13 years ago to raise our 3 kids. Our kids go to Livermore schools, participate in soccer and Little League. It has been a great place for our kids to grow and learn. We enjoy the local trails downtown and all the nearby parks. Every family deserves to have the same experience no matter their financial situation. Families should be able to live and work in their community with their kids going to local schools. The Eden Housing Project will give families a chance to enjoy this wonderful community just like my family. We are in a housing crisis. We do not have enough affordable housing. The city of Livermore has the opportunity to be a leader and a model for the Tri-Valley in building affordable housing that supports our local workforce. Thank you.
The next speaker is Sue Marchand, followed by Genesis, followed by Rochelle Snedeker. Sue Marchand, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. I'm a retired Livermore teacher, and I know many people who would benefit from this development. Today, the annual salary for a fully credentialed teacher in Livermore after 9 years of college and work experience is about $56,000. Anyone who says that teachers will not qualify for Eden housing is misinformed. There are over 120 homeless children in Livermore schools. Some of these children were my students. Yes, right here in Livermore. Imagine being a child trying to do homework in a car or a tent and not getting a proper night's sleep. Tonight is your opportunity to help them. Support Livermore teachers, support Livermore's children, support those who serve our community. There is no alternative plan. Vote yes for the only real plan. Vote yes on Eden Housing. Thank you.
The next speaker is Genesis, followed by Rochelle Snedecor, followed by Tony Munoz. Genesis, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Mary Lynn Lampy. I'm calling from Genesis. Genesis of the Tri-Valley is a community organizing coalition of congregations and organizations in Alameda County. We have 2 congregational members in the Tri-Valley, including St. Bartholomew's Episcopal Church in Livermore, the Arc of the East Bay, an organization that serves adults with disabilities located in the Tri-Valley, is a longtime member. Genesis has listened to over 300 residents in the Tri-Valley. We have hosted 2 District 1 forums engaging over 150 voters and did a Tri-Valley housing forum of 130 people in January 2020. Overwhelmingly, the #1 concern that we've heard from residents is a lack of affordable housing in the Tri-Valley. We've heard from employees of Lawrence Livermore Labs, from teachers, from other essential workers, from people who are housing insecure, from residents who realize that their adult children will never move back to the Tri-Valley because of the high cost of housing. Because of all of this, Genesis is in full support of the Eden Housing Project. We'd like to thank Livermore, the mayor, the city council for your leadership in supporting the Eden Housing Project. Thank you.
The next speaker is Rochelle Snedecor, followed by Tony Munoz, followed by Lisa Tromovich. Rochelle Snedecor, please unmute yourself. Rochelle Snedecor, please unmute yourself.
Am I here? Are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. This is Rochelle Snedeker, Livermore Downtown Inc. Livermore Downtown thanks you for continued support of vitality in downtown Livermore. The commercial core and town center of downtown is 1st through 4th Streets with a valuable extension of consumer assets along Livermore Avenue. You have appropriately placed the workforce housing development in the residential alignment along Railroad and at the back of the commercial core. We are losing valuable hospitality workers at a record pace due to high residential lease rates in Livermore. This is affecting our business's ability to hire and retain talent and is causing a decrease in level of service and experience that our community has become accustomed to and deserves. Please move forward with Eden Housing's development plan as soon as possible. We look forward to welcoming these new neighbors into our inclusive and diverse downtown neighborhood we all love. Thank you for all the service to all of Livermore, and we look forward to helping you get the truthful and factual information to our residents regarding this much needed workforce housing addition. Thank you.
Speaker is Tony Munoz, followed by Lisa Tromovich, followed by Brooke. Tony Munoz, please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Tony Munoz. I'm a representative for the Northern California Carpenters, Local 713, representing over 4,000 members in Alameda County, many who live here in the city of Livermore. I'm calling today in support of the Eden Housing Project. This is a project that will create job opportunities for people living in the city of Livermore, and at the same time, create opportunities for apprentices to work on the project where they will be trained and learn the skills necessary to be the workforce of the future. The folks working on this project will earn the wage is going to allow them to keep up with this high cost of living in the Bay Area and receive benefits to take care of the loved ones at home. I ask that you move this project forward for the city of Livermore and that you approve it for the hardworking people of Livermore. Thank you.
The next speaker is Lisa Tromovich, followed by Brooke, followed by Ann King. Lisa Tromovich, please unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Lisa Tromovich. I live in Livermore and work with Shakespeare's Associates, our office neighbors, the planned housing. I'm here to support the recommendations to move forward with the Eden project. The genesis of this wonderful plan includes citizens representing housing, vintners, science, arts, stockmen, veterans, who met to discuss ideas on how to develop an inclusive downtown. Council adopted the citizen-led unified concept and directed staff to turn it into a real plan. We're receiving mailers with an unfundable fantasy with drawings on top of privately owned property, not an alternative plan. Every step of the way, citizens have been engaged and designs altered. There is no bait and switch. The number of units on the site has been reduced to a fraction of the original plan, but the workforce housing will support downtown businesses both with clients during midweek when the rest of us generally abandon them, and with housing for their employees as well as teachers and other support staff throughout the city. There will continue to be changes, but the integrity with which the city and Eden have guided their decision-making is appreciated. Thank you.
The next speaker is Brooke, followed by Ann King, followed by Mary Ann Brent. Brooke, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Brooke Witherspoon. As a downtown business owner and member of the Livermore community, I can see the benefits of investing in workforce housing from multiple lenses. Having housing for people who work in our community is a huge benefit for our Livermore families, especially those workers who are most essential to our local economy. With the current housing climate, many of our essential workers are finding that market rate housing is beyond their reach. By investing in workforce housing, Livermore will be able to provide an opportunity for families to stay in town and for people to live closer to their jobs. I personally look forward to continuing to support a plan that includes a place for all income levels, a decrease in traffic congestion as many of our essential workers will be able to walk to work, a strengthened economy by helping employers attract and retain essential workers, and a plan that advocates for all the members of our community to continue to call Livermore home. Thank you.
The next speaker is Ann King, followed by Mary Ann Brent, followed by Rick Edson. Ann King, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, this is Ann King. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. As the executive director for Tri-Valley Haven, we fully support the city's plan and the ECHO plan for affordable housing for so many reasons. And at 60 seconds, one thing I would really like to get in here is just to ditto Linda's report from the very beginning on all the reasons why we need affordable housing and why this is such a good plan. Two other items that I really would like to mention is that we have a thrift store downtown, and I invite you to stop in our thrift store. It's the cleanest one I've ever been in. We're very proud of our thrift store, and I think that that will help assist people who are low income wherever they might be. In addition, we have a food pantry. Both of those are within walkable distance of this, and we would like to keep our thrift store where it is. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we've watched our employees drop to 15% that can live in Livermore. So we really encourage this. Vote yes on this, please.
The next speaker is Mary Ann Brent, followed by Rick Edson, followed by Carl Wente. Mary Ann Brent, please unmute.
Can you hear me?
Barely.
Mary Ann Brent, and I have a Livermore address. What you propose to build 2 large housing units in the downtown is most unfortunate for Livermore now and threatens Livermore's economic health, in my opinion. The city has made many changes for proposals at the Lucky Catalyst site over the years. And when housing proposal was made in 2018, hundreds of residents came to the city council meeting in protest. According to a recent poll, a majority still oppose housing on the Catalyst site. I hope you will not make or contribute to canyons of housing in the already downtown Livermore. Thank you.
The next speaker is Rick Edson, followed by Carl Wente, followed by Mark Palajak. Rick Edson, please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm Rick Edson, and my family and I have been residents in Livermore since 1979. We live on Vancouver Way. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I do support the Eden Housing Project. I see that the finished site, once it's all done, shall have the wonderful elements of affordable housing finally. Black box theater, science center, parking and retail, enough space for people to gather comfortably. It will be an attractive location no matter the size of any park. For me, pursuing any alternative plan will bring unnecessary delay. Let's proceed with the adopted plan and complete this community's defining downtown project. I want to thank the city council members and staff for this good work, and Godspeed. Thank you.
The next speaker is Carl Winty, followed by Mark Palajak, followed by Lanning Thompson. Carl Winty, please unmute yourself.
Hello, Carl Winty here. I'd like to just thank everyone for caring about our downtown, also for the great staff report as always, and I think just leading us through history that it's always been intended for housing. There's always been some semblance of housing. The fact that it's on the appropriate corner, as Lisa Tromovich said, and some others, and the fact that it's not as much as has been envisioned in the past. But there's clearly a need for housing. Everybody has to acknowledge that. There's clearly a need for workforce housing. People have to acknowledge that. And it's real, it's here. This plan, this is the right plan in the right place and right now. Shovel ready, ready to go. There's no other plan that's already been stated, but that other drawing actually shows we should be thinking bigger too in terms of what should be north of Railroad. We need more housing. We need more teachers living here. We need more firefighters living here. We need more waitresses and waiters living here. We need more of our community, my generation, to be able to come back home and live here. Working families, they need that support.
The next speaker is Mark Palajak, followed by Lanning Thompson, followed by Matt Wardlaw. Mark Palajak, please unmute yourself.
Mayor and City Council members, I just want to tell you that I'm very much in support of this plan, and the Housing Authority is looking forward to administering the project-based vouchers for several of the people who are fortunate enough to live there. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Lanning Thompson, followed by Matt Wardlaw, followed by Jim Summers. Lanning Thompson, please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Lanning Thompson. We have a regional housing crisis. I'm president of Interfaith Housing. We have about 800, not 500, applicants waiting for 207 apartments. There's a 5-year wait. However, the need is even greater for younger individuals and families with so many homeless kids in our schools. Where can housing be built and how can we fund it? The city already owns the land designated for the Eden Housing Project. The alternate plan site is comprised of 7 or 8 privately owned parcels. Some owners don't want to sell. And where would we get the purchase money? Public funds aren't available for land purchase or construction. For those of you who want to move it to the periphery, the city doesn't own other suitable parcels. We're a city, not a small town. A large urban park requires maintenance. The alternate plan is simply not feasible for many reasons. Let's build the Eden housing now. Thank you.
The next speaker is Matt Wardlaw, followed by Jim Summers, followed by Alex Worth. Matt Wardlaw, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Matthew Wardlaw. I'm a lifelong resident here in Livermore and a 14-year union member out of Millrise Local 102, also here in Livermore. I am in full support of this project, and I ask you guys to please support it as well. Thank you and have a good evening.
The next speaker is Jim Summers, followed by Alex Worth, followed by Nathan B. Jim Summers, please unmute yourself. Jim Summers, please unmute yourself.
Okay, there we are. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, members of the council, good evening. My name is Jim Summers. I've been a Livermore resident for over 32 years, and I support this project. I've personally been involved in the planning, design, and construction of 6 different residential communities in the city of Livermore over the course of the last 25 years.
I know firsthand how difficult it is to actually provide affordable housing units. In 2008, I had the distinct pleasure of partnering on an affordable housing project with Eden Housing in the city of Hayward. With the depth of knowledge that Eden brought to the partnership, we were able to take the funds from one of our projects that would have built 26 affordable units and provide 78 affordable units. I'm proud to have been a part of that project with Eden Housing. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to drive by that site after more than 12 years and see that the project is thriving, well-maintained, and really a jewel in its surrounding neighborhood. That is a testament to the fact that Eden not only builds within communities, but more importantly, they become a part of the fabric and pride of the community. I would like to urge you to approve this very important project this evening.
The next speaker is Alex Worth, followed by Nathan B., followed by Alan Burnham. Alex Worth, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. I'm Alex Worth, Policy Manager at East Bay Housing Organizations, and we're proud to support this project. For 35 years, EBO has worked to make sure that everyone who lives and works in the East Bay, from Alameda to Livermore, Berkeley to Brentwood, can access the opportunity that our region provides through a high-quality home they can afford. Sadly, across the East Bay, it's nearly impossible for a family living on the wages of an essential worker to rent a home without sacrificing other basic needs like food, medicine, and education due to a structural mismatch between incomes and housing costs. This is an urgent issue of social equity. According to PolicyLink, women of color and immigrants make up a disproportionate share of both our essential workers and our cost burden renters. To reject this project, therefore, would be to maintain patterns of racial segregation and housing insecurity that threaten the fabric of our region. It would be to go backwards, doubling down on the harms of history rather than moving towards a future of abundant opportunity for all. So let's move forward. This land was zoned for these homes, it was bought with funds dedicated to these homes, and essential workers and their families need these homes to remain in our community. Please vote yes.
The next speaker is Nathan B., followed by Alan Burnham, followed by JD Hogan. Nathan B., please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Council. I'd like to say that I strongly support the Eden Housing Project. I grew up in Livermore and I graduated from college about a year ago. And when I graduated, I wanted to move back to Livermore, but I couldn't afford to. And I know that there's a lot of people in a similar position as mine. Projects like Eden's would allow people like me to move back and live in our hometown with our families. And I think this is self-evidently a very important project for Livermore's future. Thank you.
The next speaker is Alan Burnham, followed by JD Hogan, followed by Patrick Coyle. Alan Burnham, please unmute yourself.
What?
I'm Livermore resident Alan Burnham. This project is on land purchased years ago for affordable housing and zoned for 4 stories. Due to the Stockman deal brokered by Mayor Warner, half the 260 units planned in 2016 by Lennar were moved to the end of Pacific Avenue, which enabled far more park space and cultural facilities. There is no legal basis for denying this application, and doing so will merely cause the city to pay the legal costs of those who will successfully challenge that denial and get the courts to mandate it to be built. To those of you who don't want any housing here, you could have raised money to purchase an alternative site and donate to the city, analogous to what the Stockman did, instead of spending money on referenda and such, but it's too late now. So council members, please vote yes and move this project forward.
The next speaker is JD Hogan, followed by Patrick Coyle, followed by Alan Marlin. JD Hogan, please unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me? You can.
Yes.
Okay. Dear council members and fellow citizens of Livermore, my name's John Hogan, and I've lived in Livermore off and on since 1959 on Via Seville. It is my belief the Eden Housing Project answers our obligations to the next generation, to the land use agreements and promises we have made, and that the present location has been decided upon by a majority of citizens of Livermore. Now, for the minority, I suggest acquiring land, such as land north of Livermore, of Railroad Avenue, using your own capital to build your own version of affordable housing or an additional park. Again, using your own capital. Thank you, citizens.
The next speaker is Patrick Coyle, followed by Alan Marling, followed by Joanna Thompson. Patrick Coyle, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Mayor Warner, council members and staff. I'm Pat Coyle. I live at 1371 Calais Avenue. I've been a resident of Livermore since 1980. I'm delighted with this project to provide 130 units of essential workforce affordable housing in the heart of Livermore, integrated with Veterans and Stockman's Public Parks, Blacksmith Square, Quest Science Center, Black Box Theater, and retail. Parking, the top issue from planning forums for the downtown area, is sufficient and all standards are being met. Downtown merchants and local employers support the project. The views from the architectural perspective shared earlier this evening illustrate how lovely this will be. I look forward to seeing young families enjoying this vibrant addition to downtown Livermore. Please vote yes to move this crucial project forward.
The next speaker is Alan Marling, followed by Joanna Thompson, followed by Joelle. Alan Marling, please unmute yourself.
I'm Alan Marling, Livermore resident, and I'm in favor of affordable housing in the Eden project, which has received $14.4 million in A1 funding. The alternative plan has not, which is why I'm baffled the Independent published a full article on April 14th pretending the alternative plan wasn't smoke and mirrors. This top story included no byline and was not journalism. It was propaganda distributed by owner Joan Seppala. The Independent also published multiple full-page ads that misrepresented the Eden's project's appearance. I fear that regular readers of the Independent are less well-informed on this critical issue than people who don't read local news, which is unforgivable for a newspaper. I call for Joan Seppala to allow the Independent to be truly independent and to stop trying to control Livermore, especially when her preferences conflict with the needs of the working class, the youth, and the underprivileged. And I call on the City Council to approve attainable, affordable housing. Thank you.
The next speaker is Joanna Thompson, followed by Joelle, followed by Juanita Berlow. Joanna Thompson, please unmute yourself.
I'm Jonna Thompson, retired Livermore math teacher and resident of Livermore for 48 years. I have a question for Mayor Warner. Was your pre-election win-win proposal to move the Eden housing project off the central downtown site in favor of a central park ever anything more than a ploy to garner votes for your bid to become mayor? My guess is the answer is no, since you never did anything to advance that proposal after you were elected. Imagine, though, that you had been sincere in your win-win proposal last summer. You would have worked hand in hand with citizens who wanted a central park and affordable housing to identify nearby available parcels of land that could accommodate the housing units. You would have found that even more units would be able to be built, allowing for a wider range of income levels to qualify. You would have consulted with Eden Housing for input and buy-in. Eden would have been able to provide adequate parking for its residents instead of trying to shoehorn them into narrow, shortened parking stalls and relying on the city's public parking garage for its expected overflow of vehicles. And the city would have had an oasis of open space in its center for all to enjoy. Imagine if you'd had that record to run on in the next election.
The next speaker is Joelle, followed by Juanita Berlow, followed by Bill. Joelle, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, long-term resident, former teacher, have been able to live in Livermore because I actually reside in Eden Housing off of East Avenue. And if it wasn't for them, I would not have been able to be a teacher, live in the same town I worked in, and raise my two children in this area. So I support the Eden Housing downtown affordable housing that they're trying to build. And I also do not approve of all the misinformation that I was given. I had to research it myself to understand that this is exactly what I'm living in right now. And we do need this because if it wasn't for Eden, my family and I would have had to leave Livermore. And I've lived here since I was 11. So that's 40 plus years. So I support it myself. And I hope that you guys support it as well. And you move forward with this because it's only going to benefit the families that I actually took care of that could not live here and had to leave town too. So thank you for your time. And once again, please support Eden Housing.
The next speaker is Juanita Berlow, followed by Bill, followed by Katie Marcel. Juanita Berlow, please unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. I am choosing not to speak at this time.
Okay, thank you. The next speaker is Bill, followed by Katie Marcel, followed by Don Arjula. Bill, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so I am a long-term Livermore resident. I strongly oppose the Eden housing development and urge a no vote. Our downtown housing space is fairly limited, and I think it should be focused on those with incomes that are sufficient to patronize our downtown restaurants and bars. By the nature of this housing, it is low and very low income. I would probably call it Section 8 housing. I've seen Section 8 housing in other East Bay cities, and it always has led to a negative impact on the area. And as a homeowner, I feel very worried that my home values will be negatively impacted by this Section 8 type housing. As far as some of the speakers talking about teachers and firefighters qualifying and we need them, that is not true. A single teacher, public school teacher, does not qualify for this housing. So let's stop hearing about teachers and firefighters qualifying for this development. So if the city wants to provide low-income housing, I don't believe it should be concentrated in our critical downtown area. And I'd like to see a comprehensive study on other cities' low-income housing and how, when it's concentrated in a downtown area and how it impacts that area. Specifically, I'm referring to like City of Hayward. I noticed by BART, their housing is very poor, or the area is poor. So anyway, thank you.
The next speaker is Katie Marcel, followed by Don Arjula, followed by Laura Angelo. Katie Marcel, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Katie Marcel. I've worked and lived in Livermore for 19 years, and I support the Eden housing development. Tonight, I want to talk about something that hasn't been mentioned tonight, the urban growth boundary. Years ago, this community decided to protect the open space surrounding us. It kept us from urban sprawl, and I want to be really clear, we did this with the understanding that in order to grow, we would have to build inside the city boundary. I keep seeing statements comparing New York City's Central Park and San Francisco's Golden Gate Park to our Livermore's downtown to prove that downtowns need more green space, but these are not downtown parks. These are strategically preserved open spaces like the urban space outside our urban growth boundary. That's what that is. As a mom, I can assure you, we have plenty of parks and green space in our town. We have interactive water fountains to play in downtown, but frankly, we don't go downtown to run around. We go downtown to eat and shop and be entertained. The Eden Housing Project is beautiful. It's part of our obligation to build affordable housing on that piece of land, which we purchased with affordable housing funds. And we're building it right downtown because in order to finish the downtown that we started in 2003, we have to have residents living and working in and supporting the downtown businesses. I urge you to move forward. Thank you so much.
The next speaker is Don Arjula, followed by Laura Angelo, followed by Brian Warner. Don Arjula, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. I'm Don Arjula, 36-year resident and CEO and president of the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce. And I grew up in Section 8 housing, raised by a single mom. Didn't hurt me at all. It was a lovely setting. The Chamber strongly supports this plan and project for urgently needed affordable workforce housing. All of the boxes for this plan and project have been checked. This site was purchased with the city's affordable housing trust funds in the 2000s, and here we are almost 20 years later and still no housing for our workforce on that site. Many of the salaries that qualify for these units are made by those that work in the private and public service sectors, in many cases, jobs designated as essential during the past 15 months. Many businesses are challenged with retention and recruitment of workers, primarily in the service industry. By taking action to approve this item, you will, city council members and leaders, fulfill the city's and the community's obligation and commitment to our current and future workforce. We urge your approval. Thank you for your leadership.
The next speaker is Laura Angelo, followed by Brian Warner, followed by Maureen Ham. Laura Angelo, please unmute yourself.
Hello. I oppose this project. The Eden Housing Project does not have the historic character of our downtown. I know historic character is theoretically important to the city because of the numerous surveys, the enormous survey it just completed on every single house in Livermore. Yet this project's design falls short of any architectural significance to Livermore's history. Downtown Livermore, in essence, is going to look like Dublin. It is much too large for the site. I could support a 2-story live-work project with ample parking for all of its residents and guests, but not this project with its 4-story massive buildings and not enough standard-sized parking spaces in its own garage. This will create a traffic problem on L Street, my street, as the shortage of parking will force more cars from the project to be parked into the south side residential area. South L Street is already busy and a shortcut to Highway 84 for commuters. It is already difficult for me to pull out of my driveway. The residents of Livermore never got to vote on this. I would like to have been able to vote on a project of this size, not which side the hotel is going to be on, which is what Prop P was. Please vote no. Thank you.
The next speaker is Brian Warner, followed by Maureen Ham, followed by Susan Byerworth.
Totally.
Brian Warner, please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, honorable mayor and council members. My name is Brian Warner. I represent hundreds of sheet metal workers from Livermore, as well as I live in Livermore. What is in front of you tonight is a well thought out housing project that will play an important role in our city. Eden Housing understands the value of middle class job creation for Livermore residents and is committing to utilizing skilled and trained local union labor force to help construct it with a project labor agreement. The project will have apprentices from state-approved apprenticeship programs and opportunities for local residents to obtain a career path into the trade. Construction workers in the city deserve to have a quality project such as this one that supports residents and the community. This project is going to directly improve the lives of hundreds of people from the community, both in good union jobs and meeting that workforce housing. Thank you for hearing this item tonight. I ask that you please support this project.
The next speaker is Maureen Ham, followed by Kelly Arardi, followed by Debbie. Maureen Ham, please unmute yourself. Maureen Ham, please unmute yourself.
Can I, how do I unmute? Okay, here we go. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a resident of Livermore for the last 43 years. And I, first of all, would like to say I'm very proud of Livermore for managing resources that create housing. The housing development department is amazing. And I live within walking distance of this project as well as the Chestnut Square project. There were no complaints about that project because it was in the other part of town that I live in. And it houses over 100 people who are low income to moderate, and they also have what would be the equivalent of a Section 8 voucher. It's a wonderful project. We need housing for families and single people, and I am very proud to live in Livermore that cares. And remember that this does come with green space. We have housing and a park here. So I say yes to this project. Thank you.
The next speaker is Kelly Arardi, followed by Debbie, followed by Patrick Refsnyder. Kelly Arardi, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Kelly Arardi. I am a Livermore landowner, and I'm speaking in favor of supporting the Eden Housing Development. I'm a partner in Republic Square, Livermore, that is located between the San Francisco Premium Outlet Center and the driving range fronting Highway 580. This is a mixed-use development, including retail, restaurants, and hotels. The Eden development will house residents who will be potential employees for retail, restaurants, hotels, in this development, which will allow our merchants to open, operate, be successful, and provide tax dollars to the city. There's an incredible shortage of housing and employees in the Tri-Valley. Affordable housing allows a local workforce to live near where they work. Live, work, stay, and play in Livermore. The architecture and amenities for this development are outstanding. I urge you to vote in favor of this development at your scheduled meeting tomorrow. Thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Debbie, followed by Patrick Refsnyder, followed by Maudin Tahuri. Debbie, please unmute yourself.
Hi, I am a 26-year Livermore resident and a board member of the Livermore Wine Growers Association, which has been active in the downtown plan. And I would just like to voice my full support of this plan to move forward. Thank you.
The next speaker is Patrick Refsnyder, followed by Maudin Tahuri, followed by Melanie Reed. Patrick Refsnyder, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Refsnyder. I'm a K-12 educator and an Isabel neighborhood resident. I'm speaking in support of the Eden Housing Project. Quality schools require more than buildings, desks, and textbooks. Teachers are the crucial element that makes schools great. According to the Livermore Unified School District salary schedule, a first-year teacher just graduated from college and fully accredited will earn $56,000 before tax teaching in Livermore. The average Livermore rent is roughly $2,175, which is 47% of a first-year teacher's pre-tax salary. Affordable housing near public transit in the city in which one works will make it possible to attract the passionate future educators that will inspire our young citizens. Thank you.
The next speaker is Maudin Tahuri, followed by Melanie Reed, followed by Yolanda Mader. Maudin Tahuri, please unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Maudin Tahuri. In June 2020, Mayor Marchand released a statement saying all of us must lead by example to ensure that injustice does not and will not happen in Livermore in response to the growing call for racial equity in our cities. After the racially coded comments about this project, this vote will reveal whether the city really hopes to live up to that. Statements are important and actions are crucial. We cannot have racial equity in our cities without affordable housing. If this council hopes to ensure racial equity, and if this council wants to prove that its commitments are longstanding and truthful, voting in support of Eden Housing Project is necessary. I support the Eden Housing Project.
The next speaker is Melanie Reed, followed by Yolanda Mader, followed by Diana Pinzon. Melanie Reed, please unmute yourself.
My name is Melanie Reed. I'm a resident of Livermore, so I actually live here. I live here and I vote here. I feel very strongly that our elected city officials should uphold the will of the constituents that they were elected to serve. The majority of Livermore residents do not want high-density housing smack in the middle of our downtown. To be clear, I am not a NIMBY that is opposed to affordable housing. I support affordable housing, but it needs to go in the right location. A behemoth 4-story building in the core of downtown is not the right place. When I tell people that I live in Livermore, everyone comments, "Oh, Livermore, it has such a cute downtown." Our downtown is still cute and welcoming because it doesn't include high-density stack and pack housing. You can still find a place to park. An ugly, overdeveloped downtown with no open space where you can't park is not going to be appealing to Livermore residents or visitors. It is not too late for you, the City Council, to do the right thing and give the community of Livermore a welcoming downtown. If these high-density buildings go up as planned, you will permanently ruin the character of our community. There will be no going back and we'll be losing something special. We'll remember that you had the chance to improve, not ruin our downtown. Livermore is not Dublin, nor do we want to be.
Excuse me, your time is up and you've gone over time as well.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Yolanda Mader, followed by Diana Pinzon, followed by Dijon. Yolanda Mader, please unmute yourself.
Hello, this is Yolanda Mader. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a Livermore resident, so I want to make that very clear that I am a Livermore resident, and I am opposed to the Eden downtown housing plan, not affordable housing. So I want to make that very clear. This is not a plan that was promised to the Livermore voters. The plan will ruin the charm of our downtown. What happened to the win-win solution for Livermore? This situation, and I've been involved with going to the meetings, and this is a huge, huge disappointment. Very disappointed. I'm disappointed with the city council. Thank you.
The next speaker is Diana Pinzon, followed by Dijon, followed by Laura Hansen. Diana Pinzon, please unmute yourself.
Hello, and thank you. My name is Diana Pinzon. I've been an Eden housing resident in the Livermore location on Vasco for 8 years. I really support the construction of another Eden housing community because not only does it provide affordable housing, but it provides resident services for young adults and kids. Throughout the years of growing up here, I've benefited from classes and their scholarship program for college students, as Linda was speaking about earlier. I've been also greatly motivated throughout my current educational journey with receiving these scholarships, and it has immensely allowed me to continue studying. It's very affordable housing in a great community that could allow low-income families or even young adults to move into. I really want to advocate this community for those who don't have a voice, so thank you, everyone.
The next speaker is Dijon, followed by Laura Hansen, followed by David Best. Dijon, please unmute yourself.
Hello, I am Dijon Scott Miller, Executive Director of Livermore Housing Authority, and I just wanted to express my support for this project. As somebody who works in housing, folks that are low income, I see the incredible need for a project like this on a daily basis. I would also like to add that a single person household in the city of Livermore to be considered for housing at 50% of the AMI is $47,950 a year. So folks will qualify for this housing. Teachers and other essential workers throughout the city of Livermore would qualify for this housing. And also I would like to give a shout out to the Dahlin Group because the renderings look incredible and it is a beautiful site. Thank you.
The next speaker is Laura Hansen, followed by David Best, followed by Tony Hitter. Laura Hansen, please unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to make comments. I'm a Livermore resident and I live 1 mile from this location. I've watched it be a dirt lot for 20 years, being argued over for many, many years. It would be really nice to rush to a solution and get all that free money, especially at the expense of the poor, so the rich can get richer. Livermore has unique charm, a growing tourism industry, and many visitors come here from across the bay to enjoy shopping, restaurants, cultural centers, and other businesses. These improvements have been made possible from the last 2 decades of good planning, good urban planning that looks for a whole healthy community, not one in recession and poverty. I'm opposed to this plan because I think it will change the character of downtown Livermore forever. I think it needs more park space and also much more parking, because the way it's been planned now, we've been told, oh, there's no environmental impact. Well, of course, there's no impact from a dirt lot, but you add several hundred families in here, or I don't know how many hundreds of people can live in there. 1 car per house is not enough. That leaves the overflow onto the streets of the parking that's meant for the businesses, visitors, tourism, people who already live here, and so on. To have that thrown out like as though it has no impact, I don't find that to be acceptable. And I hope that the council takes this into consideration, that this project actually does have environmental impact. Thank you.
Thank you.
The The next speaker is David Best, followed by Tony Hitter, followed by Beth Refsnyder. David Best, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is David Best. I'm a 20-year Livermore resident. I also work for a local real estate developer that builds residential housing. And I wanted to comment on how fortunate the city is to have a partnership with one of the premier architects, the Dahlin Group, and one of the most respected affordable housing developers in Eden Housing. That is going to bring an aesthetically gorgeous building, in my opinion, into our downtown, with 30% of the site dedicated to parkland and reserved, and the entire project reserved for residents earning between 20% and 60% of the county average median income. This is how affordable housing should be done, and I encourage the council to vote yes and move this project forward. Thank you.
The next speaker is Tony Hitter, followed by Beth Refsnyder, followed by Michael Mendenhall. Tony Hitter, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. I am a real Livermore resident. I live downtown. I asked the city to reject Eden's proposal since it doesn't meet the requirements for the downtown plan, especially in regard to parking. I would ask them instead to consider the 7 other bids that were submitted for the site. In 2017, the Downtown Steering Committee held meetings with Livermore residents asking them what they wanted the downtown core site to look like. I was there. The responses were compiled and ranked. The number one thing Livermore residents cared about was parking, followed by community character and design and open space. All of those things were drastically reduced in the Eden proposal, many in ways directly in violation of the city's own rule. It is wrong to say that there is no alternative. Again, 7 other bids were submitted for the site. Can't we have more housing without violating the downtown plan? Thank you.
The next speaker is Beth Refsnyder, followed by Michael Mendenhall, followed by Ed Chung. Beth Refsnyder, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. My name is Beth and I'm an assistant winemaker here in Livermore Valley, and I also live here in Livermore. I am in full support of the Eden Housing Project. It's important that the people who work so hard to make Livermore a world-class and memorable region for hospitality, wine, and food can also afford to live here. These restaurant workers, winemakers, and tasting room employees come here to work because they believe that Livermore is a special place. They are the faces you see when you walk into your favorite restaurant or spend a few hours at your favorite winery, enjoying the beautiful views and even better wine. And they believe in this town and they live and breathe its potential. It will make them even more passionate about their community if they also have the opportunity to call Livermore home. Thank you very much for your time.
The next speaker is Michael Mendenhall, followed by Ed Chung, followed by Splendorio. Michael Mendenhall, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Low income, as defined for Livermore, starts around the national median income and goes up to 6 figures annually or $50 an hour full time. Low income includes the kind of job I needed a physics PhD from Caltech to get. Low and very low income is nurses, firefighters, brewers, vintners, technicians, paramedics, gardeners, priests, deacons, chefs, bakers, every honest worker on whom the city depends for its good repute, but demands to commute in from Oakland, Tracy, or Manteca. The city has already built far more than it needs of housing for millionaires for decades to come. It is unconscionable to build anything which is not affordable to the other 90% of us, in light of the current state of gross inequity created by the market price, profit-driven failed housing system. So, thanks to the mayor and council for supporting this vitally necessary project. And I hope you will continue striving to make Livermore beautiful, with the true beauty of a just and equitable society where all people can live with dignity.
The next speaker is Ed Chung, followed by Splendorio, followed by Larry Lagan. Ed Chung, please unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Edmund Chung, and I'm a Livermore resident of 10 years and also a voter of Livermore. I want to say that I don't support the current modified housing plan that the council has proposed or modified. I also want to say that I do support affordable workforce housing, but not at the expense of the beauty and the livability of our downtown. I do not want or like the new plans that we currently are looking at. We have a need for parking, open space, and we need to preserve our welcoming historic downtown. I would really appreciate it if the council would consider the other 6 or 7 plans that were put forth to them. Thank you.
The next speaker is Splendorio, followed by Larry Lagan, followed by Adam Fady. Splendorio, please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. I'm Splendorio, and thank you, Council, for taking the time to hear about this important issue. I'm the chair of Tri-Valley Innovation Leadership Group's Housing, Infrastructure, and Transportation Committee. The #1 concern that our employers, and we represent the major employers in the Tri-Valley, is the lack of workforce housing in the Tri-Valley. And we are fully supportive of Eden's project and hope that the council votes yes to approve it, to allow for our employees to work near their place of work. Thank you very much for your patience and time.
The next speaker is Larry Lagan, followed by Adam Fady, followed by Adrian Rodriguez. Larry Lagan, please unmute yourself. Larry Lagan, please unmute yourself. Mayor, would you like us to skip Mr. Lagan for a few people and come back to him?
Yes, please.
So the next speaker will be Adam Fady, followed by Adrian Rodriguez, followed by Larry Lagan. Adam Fady, please unmute your.
Hi, my name is Adam Fady, and I would just like to voice my support for the Eden Housing Project. We need affordable housing badly, and this project is a step toward addressing this issue. Our local workers should be able to live where they work, and hiring has been a serious problem for our local restaurants. Hiring service workers has been difficult because it's hard to live here. And so this project is a step towards fixing that issue. And so just voice my support and urge the council to move forward. Thank you.
The next speaker will be Adrian Rodriguez, followed by Larry Lagan, followed by Mark Buck. Adrian Rodriguez, please unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Jessica Rodriguez, and I've been a Livermore resident for over 15 years. I'm a woman of color. I bought my first home through a program that helped with down payment assistance, and it was based on my income eligibility. I just want to say that I am very grateful to the city of Livermore for the numerous programs that they have for affordable housing. And I love that each of the developments allot for, percentage of that housing to be affordable housing. But I am concerned with, I feel like we've been backed into a corner to accept this program as is at the sacrifice of our downtown. And I do know that families, people who are experiencing homelessness, they have a need for services that are not available to them downtown. So I'm not sure that this is the right place, and I'm just disappointed with the city council for backing us into a corner and not letting us participate or have input on the options. Thank you.
The next speaker will be Larry Lagan, followed by Mark Buck, followed by Kathy LaPointe Cullip. Larry Lagan, please unmute yourself. Larry Lagan, please unmute yourself.
Might have to skip a few more and come back if he's available.
Yes, sir. Okay, the next speaker will be Mark Buck, followed by Kathy LaPointe Cullip, followed by Larry Lagan. Mark Buck, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Council. My name is Mark Buck. I represent the International Brotherhood of Electric Workers 595 Alameda County. We have many residents that live in Livermore. We strongly support this project. Thank you. Have a good evening.
The next speaker will be Kathy LaPointe Cullip, followed by another try at Larry Lagan, followed by Emily Wilson. Kathy LaPointe Cullip, please unmute.
Hi, I'm Kathy LaPointe Cullip, and I live in Livermore, and I work at Asbury United Methodist Church, where I'm the senior pastor. And many, many times each week, I talk with people who are just desperate for housing for themselves and their families. The Eden Project is desperately needed in our community. And one of the things I've become increasingly aware of is that our understanding of housing needs to change. We need to be more willing to try different kinds of projects because housing in California is so critical. And housing is more important than some other things, and we need to come to terms with that. And so I'm very supportive of this, and I hope the council will vote yes. Thank you.
Okay, we'll give Larry Lagan one last shot. Larry Lagan, please unmute yourself.
So we're going to be taking a break in just a couple of minutes. So let's take a couple more speakers and give Larry some more time to try and log in or figure this out.
Yes, sir.
So who's next?
Emily Wilson. So Emily Wilson, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Council. My name is Emily Wilson, and I am a lifelong Livermore resident and one of the co-founders of Tri-Valley for Black Lives. In June 2020, the city released a statement saying all of us must lead by example to ensure that injustice cannot, does not, and will not happen in Livermore in response to the growing call for racial equity in our cities. After the racially coded comments about this project, this vote will reveal whether the city truly hopes to include people of color. Statements are important, actions are crucial. We cannot have racial equity in our cities without affordable housing. If this council hopes to ensure racial equity, and if this council wants to prove that its commitments are long-standing and truthful, voting in support of the Eden Housing Project is necessary. I support the Eden Housing Project and demand that Livermore continues to build affordable housing for our residents. Thank you.
The next speaker will be Harold Roundtree, followed by Stephen Merso, followed by Tara Ham. Harold Roundtree, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, and thank you to the mayor and to city council members. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Harold Roundtree, and I'm here representing the Livermore Chamber of Commerce. I am a volunteer board member. I'm the chairman of this particular committee, and as you've heard before from our CEO, Don Aguilar, that we support this project for workforce housing, we like to call it. We represent over 400 companies, some 20,000 employees here within the Tri-Valley, and we believe that workforce housing, especially for many moderate employers, and as it is, as you've heard from some of the speakers, that it's tough to recruit within a high price area as such. And we fully support this project. We appreciate you as members of local government and all that you do. Thank you and have a great evening.
The next speaker is Stephen Merso, followed by Tara Ham.
After Stephen, we'll take the break.
Okay. Stephen Rousseau, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Stephen Mirasu. I'm the owner of Stephen Kent Winery in Livermore and the president of the Livermore Valley Wine Growers Association. I want to thank the mayor and the city council for opening the forum up for residents and business people to talk about the Eden housing development. Livermore is a very special place, one of the great growing areas in the world. And we are in the process of moving our appellation forward, making better and better wine every year, being a part of a very vibrant city, a vibrant downtown whose needs are many. One of those needs from a hospitality standpoint is a workforce that lives close to where it works. The workers are not only the folks who bring you your glass of wine or serve you dinner or pick up your dirty plates, they're part of the fabric of the city as well. If they cannot afford to live here, the city loses that vibrancy. It loses a lifeblood that the youth and the next generation brings forward to the city. I hope that you vote yes for the Eden Housing Project, and thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you everyone so far. We'll take a 10-minute break. And I especially want to thank everyone for holding to the 1 minute. And I think the thoughts on of all perspectives have been very well spoken. So thank you, and we'll come back at resume at 9:10. Okay, thank you everyone. We're returning from our break and we'll resume public comment. Again, thank you all for keeping to the time limit and being very articulate. It's working well, and your points are coming across. So can we start with the next person, please?
Mayor, just one moment.
Okay.
The next speaker is Tara Ham, followed by Peter, followed by Margaretarian Fortner. Tara Ham, please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
I am a downtown Livermore resident and voter. I implore the city council to reject the Eden Housing Project. I marched downtown to pass Measure P, supporting a boutique hotel, and believe in the vision of Livermore as a weekend destination for Bay Area residents. The Eden Project being built on the core of downtown flies in the face of the vision most people who voted for P sought to achieve for a wine country destination. The residents of Livermore were told that the plans had to include some affordable housing. But at the last minute, it has been a bait and switch from affordable housing as defined by HUD to low, very low, and extremely low income housing. Moreover, how will a project of this size scale downtown growth of Livermore over the next 30 years, over the next 50 years? Livermore will lose its ability to grow and change with the times and will simply have a low-end housing project in its city center stuck in time. I read that the Eden Housing Project started in Hayward, and I don't want to live in Hayward. The core of downtown is an opportunity for commercial space, entertainment space, and anything the future holds. Once given to Eden, it can never be retrieved. We're sacrificing the whole character of Livermore for 130 tenants. Thank you.
The next speaker is Tara Ham, followed by Peter, followed by Margaret Ann Fortner.
That was Tara Ham, I believe.
Excuse me, the next speaker is Peter, followed by Margaret Ann Fortner, followed by Beth Tretner. Peter, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, council, as well as city mayor. Listening into this debate between both sides of the parties, for and against, I could see the positives and the negatives, but it really comes down to it that I think the residents of Livermore haven't had a chance to sit there and decide the fate of what's going on in downtown. I really think that we should not be doing this and hold off until we have the consensus of what the local people would like to do with that downtown. Second of all, We have to look at also as our businesses and restaurants. How's that going to affect them? What is the traffic going to be like in downtown? These are the measures that we have to look at, or even if our electrical grid can even support it. I say we vote against this for right now. Thank you.
The next speaker is Margaret Ann Fortner, followed by Beth Tretner and Carla Hansen. Margaret Ann Fortner, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. I'm the Program Manager of Crisis Stabilization at CityServe of the Tri-Valley. I want to thank the City of Livermore for creating affordable housing opportunities for individuals that are in need of them. Over 90% of the calls received at CityServe are from people facing housing instability. This is due to many different issues. Some might think that it is only an issue for those who are homeless or very low income, but honestly, many are working full-time, sharing rooms and housing with multiple people and multiple families, couch surfing, or unable to make ends meet if they have to pay market rate rent. These individuals that are seeking affordable housing are essential workers, grocery store clerks, individuals who serve the community downtown, the community's downtown shops and restaurants, senior citizens, first responders, teachers, and service attendants. I would like to encourage the council to vote in favor of allowing this project to be approved. Those who serve the city need to be able to be a part of the community and given the opportunity to have stable housing options without the fear of losing it because they're unable to afford market rate rent. By creating affordable housing opportunities, we will open the doors for the individuals to thrive in their community and reduce the number of community members facing possible eviction.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Beth Tretner, followed by Carla Hansen and Jean King. Beth Tretner, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I live and work downtown, and I have for nearly 30 years, which amazes me. We've heard a litany of well-articulated reasons the city should move forward with the Eden Housing Project. I agree with all of them and urge you to vote in favor. You, the City Council, City staff, and Planning Commission have studied, conferred, listened, and evaluated. I very much appreciate your diligence. Thank you.
The next speaker is Carla Hansen, followed by Jane King and EBHO. Carla Hansen, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. My name is Carla Hansen, and I came to Livermore originally in 1983. I taught school district for a decade. I live in Livermore, and I stand with the vast majority of Livermore residents who oppose the plan as presently envisioned. One lesson surely we've learned from COVID is that it's necessary to have good outdoor spaces to spend our time. And I don't think the plan as it is now conceived really provides that kind of accessible space. As a public school teacher, it's highly doubtful that I would be able to qualify for this building. The numbers cited for salaries are for a family of 4. So that brand new teacher who just got out of school, discussed earlier, might be making $56,000. If he or she's on her own, they are not eligible. The downtown character is going to be damaged. One parking place per apartment is unrealistic. We're going to have traffic congestion, and this will damage the character of downtown. I respectfully request that the council listen to its voting constituents, the people who live in this town, and oppose this plan. Thank you.
The next speaker is Jean King, followed by EBHO and Zoom user. Jean King, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. I represent Save Livermore Downtown.
Our attorney at Latham and Watkins sent the city letters explaining why the city council cannot approve the project in its current form. The project's design continues to be inconsistent with the specific plan. Denial of the project would not violate the Housing Accountability Act, and the project is not exempt from CEQA. The rationale for all of this is in his letters. If the council approves a project tonight, that would be unlawful. Despite all the community opposition to this project, our voices have been ignored. If the city continues to ignore us, we may have no choice but to ask a judge to resolve the dispute. Rather than do that, we urge the city and Eden to press pause and come to the table with us to discuss an alternative through mediation, community meetings, or some other approach. We would prefer a resolution that ends with a win-win solution. Livermore deserves better, and we are here to help that happen. Thank you.
The next speaker is EBHO, followed by Zoom user and Dan Pierce. EBHO, please unmute yourself. EBHO, please unmute yourself.
Hello, yes. So sorry, I was waiting for my name. I didn't realize my organization was what showed up on the screen. Good evening, council members and mayor. My name is Gloria Bruce. I'm the executive director of East Bay Housing Organization, who helps to promote Measure A1 across the county and see beautiful, affordable homes grow up all over Alameda County. And I'm so excited to join so many residents of Livermore who are speaking up for this project and taking this opportunity for inclusion to live out true values and character of inclusion in Livermore. I agree with all the residents who are speaking in favor of this opportunity to work with two proven partners, Eden Housing and Dolan Architecture Group, to allow Livermore residents, future residents of this project in the downtown, to live where they work and work where they live. And also an opportunity for the City Council to use the city's resources wisely that have already been dedicated to this project and not cause extra expense and delay, and instead use those resources for other things such as open space elsewhere in the county. So I urge your approval of this project and the opportunity to show the true character of Livermore through inclusion. Thank you.
The next speaker is Dan Pierce, followed by James Hutchins and Laura Batty. Dan Pierce, please unmute yourself.
Hello, I'm a lifelong Livermore resident, 56 years. My parents came here in the early 60s and bought their first house. I bought my first house here in the late 80s. I've worked in the Valley pretty much a large majority of my life. I do not support this idea of the Eden housing. I hear a lot of special interest groups putting things out. I hear a lot of employers looking for cheap workforce housing. A lot of these restaurants, traditionally, it's always been people who have worked, lived at home, went to school, and they have an entry-level job. I think having a low-income, high-density housing in the prime area downtown is a very bad idea. It doesn't represent the city, and I believe you're betraying the trust of the people that were here before you. Please vote no. I also would like to mention I'm a person of color. I've heard many people say that. Last time I looked, white is a color. Thank you very much. And I'd ask the mayor when he's going to mention our Article 4.8 on the agenda. Thank you.
The next speaker is James Hutchins, followed by Laura Batty and Carol Lintz. James Hutchins, please unmute yourself.
Hello, I am a Livermore resident and I urge the council to look for an alternative location for this housing. The current land is the last remaining open space in the center of downtown and deserves to be dedicated as a park for all to use, one that will draw people there. High density housing should not be placed in the center of the downtown. It should be placed around it. Had I known what the plans were for the Legacy project, I would have voiced my objection, but I only learned of its scale when the massive concrete parking garage went up. With the Eden project, though, I now know before it has been approved, and I'm asking for the council to do what Mayor Warner campaigned on, to look for alternatives to create the win-win he spoke of. The current plans have increased the building size, doubled the number of people in that space, has inadequate parking and reduced the park to a strip of grass 1/3 the width of a football field between these large buildings. I believe moving the housing to another site is feasible. There is time and ability, and should the stakeholders actually try, it can be accomplished. Also, Linda Manalini called A1 a grant. A1 funds are a loan, and she should not be misleading people. Thank you.
The next speaker is Laura Batty, followed by Carol Lentz and Drew Felker. Laura Batty, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. I'm a Livermore resident and homeowner. I enthusiastically support the Eden Housing Plan. I think the designs are thoughtful, well-balanced for affordable workforce housing, and the design works with both old and new buildings in the area. As someone who has been able to live and work in Livermore for the last 15 years, it's so important that our essential workers be able to do the same. It's important that our local businesses have the ability to hire local. I'm thankful that we were able to move some of the housing with a generous offer from the Stockman, and we now have a beautiful park to enjoy. And we'll have the housing based on the new design that allows for a bigger Veterans Park, a wonderful compromise and balance of park, housing, businesses, and events. We will never find a solution that pleases everyone. Just more time to spread the disinformation and the lies. Please don't delay. Approve the workforce housing now. Thank you.
The next speaker is Carol Lentz, followed by Drew Felker and Mark Triska. Carol Lentz, please unmute yourself.
Hello, I have lived in Livermore now for 24 years. I love Livermore, but I don't like what I'm seeing downtown with massive humanity being pressed to the very center of our town. The monolith apartment building across the street from the Eden Housing with 222 units. You don't think that's going to have a massive amount of people who need to park. And the Eden Housing has 117 parking spaces for 130 units. We know with the 3-bedroom apartments, they're going to have like at least 2 cars each. Parking is a huge problem downtown. And you're putting that massive humanity, people living right in the downtown area. Why? You know, it's supposed to be our beautiful downtown, but I think it's going to be a real crunch. And it's hard enough to find a parking space right now. It's only going to get worse.
Next speaker is Drew Felker, followed by Mark Triska and Raber 1. Drew Felker, please unmute yourself.
Hey, I'm Drew Felker. I live here in Livermore since I was a kid. I take full responsibility for the Santa Barbara style housing because in 2016, when I was on the steering committee, I suggested it, and I assume it's all my fault. So if anyone has any complaints, please direct them towards me. I'd also like to say that the housing is appropriate, and me and many other people who are younger and have lived here support this because adding people downtown adds vibrancy. Parking is not a terrible issue downtown. It's great to have more people. I love having a house. Another thing to note is that, you know, my parents worked at the lab. So essentially I'm the recipient of secondhand government subsidies. So many of us who live here don't like to think about how, you know, we have been given a lot of opportunities, but yeah, we support this plan fully. Thank you.
Next speaker is Mark Triska, followed by Raber 1 and Clark. Mark Triska, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is Mark Triska. I've been a resident of Livermore for 35 years and a commercial real estate broker in downtown Livermore for 31 years. I own commercial real estate in the downtown, and I represent others who own commercial real estate in the downtown. And we are unanimous in our support of this project. This project is emblematic of the diversity of our community and of the downtown. We're developing luxury housing on one side of the street, and now it's time to develop workforce housing on the other side of the street. This housing is for those who are the essential workers in our community and allow it to flourish. Restaurant workers, educators, caregivers, hospitality workers, and more. This proposed development will provide a great community amenity for others as well, public park space for all the residents of Livermore. Finally, Eden Housing has a strong track record in Livermore and the Tri-Valley and provides high quality, affordable housing and services for their residents. Please support this development. Thank you.
Next speaker is Rayber 1, followed by Clark and David Kent. Rayber 1, please unmute yourself.
Hi there, sorry. My name is Ellen Rayber, and I've been a resident of Livermore for 40 years. I'm basically appalled that this is happening to our downtown after all the community outreach and input. I do support low-income integrated housing. I do not support low-income Section 8 type high-density housing in downtown Livermore. This is far from what had been expected. Our nice historic-looking town will become an eyesore. First, there's the legacy complex on the old Growth Brothers site, which the city council approved without any input from the community, and this never showed up on any of the earlier plans. And now you want to put a low-income, in quote, project housing right across the street with another 4-story building with limited parking per unit and much of the green space eliminated. Parking's already a problem, as has been stated, and now you're planning only 1 spot per unit. This is ridiculous. Every unit will need at least 2 spots, and they will be using street parking. Maybe you need a new subsidized program to have low-income restaurants, because the rest of us won't be able to get to our favorite restaurants since parking will be impossible. This plan will drive people away from downtown businesses. Eden should not have been allowed to go forward and eliminate all the green space agreed upon. This is a city planning nightmare. Everything we don't want is being done, and I request the city council reconsider this and try to come up with an alternative. Thank you.
Next speaker is Clark, followed by David Kent and Patrick Birkland. Clark, please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So good evening and thank you. My name is Steve Clark, a Livermore resident. I oppose the proposed use of prime downtown space for housing, actually housing of any kind. This downtown space should be used in a manner that is more broadly benefiting all Livermore residents and serves as an attraction to the downtown area. This will exacerbate an existing parking problem to a nightmare. I recognize the need for housing, but the proposed housing should be located at an alternate site. The $14.4 million grant is not sufficient as a rationalization to move forward with this flawed project. Thank you.
The next speaker is David Kent, followed by Patrick Birkland and Glenn Lovell. David Kent, please unmute yourself.
Good evening. This is David Kent, and I'd like to speak in favor of the Eden project. This project is all that was promised by the City Council, and it's more. There have been 2 important refinements. The focus on working families. We knew it was going to be workforce housing, but I think the need for working families to have multiple room apartments is really dire, and this project was flexible enough to accommodate that. It was also able to create an added amenity, which is the downtown children's playground. That came out loud and clear in the community sessions that we would love to find a space for it. And I think the city planners in Eden should be commended for finding that space. And just on one last comment, I do like the talk about housing north of Railroad Avenue. I don't believe that should be called an alternate plan. That should be called an additional plan. It'll take a decade to make it happen and possibly more, but it's something we should be working on because I think we've heard tonight how important workforce housing is to our community. Thank you.
The next speaker is Patrick Birkland, followed by Glenn Lovall and Donna Cabane. Patrick Birkland, please unmute yourself.
Hello, this evening brings to mind what happened to me many, many years ago. I was a resident of Livermore for more than 40 years. When I was a very young man, I was a resident in New York City. I had a job on 54th Street, New York City. However, I could not find affordable housing on Park Avenue, Lexington, or Fifth Avenue. So I wound up having to move to Brooklyn and lived on Avenue J and Ocean Parkway. The city of Livermore did not, or the city of New York thought, if you couldn't afford to live there, go someplace else. I think that's probably what we ought to do in downtown Livermore. It is not feasible to put low-income housing in downtown Livermore for folks who cannot afford to live here. Live where you can afford to live. Thank you.
The next speaker is Glenn Lovall, followed by Donna Caban and Emily. Glenn Lovall, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Good evening, council members. My name is Glenn Lovall. I am a representative of the Iron Workers Union, Local 378, representing members across the city of Livermore. Just wanted to speak in strong support of this project. It is development in the many forms that we badly need of alleviating the housing crisis by expanding the housing supply, and most critically, providing affordable workforce housing for our many essential workers, nurses, teachers, fellow construction workers, paramedics, and other hardworking members of the community and their families in the area, all laboring to make a decent living here. And in addition to creating the appropriate affordable housing, also having the project labor agreement that generates quality local job and career opportunities for local Livermore residents. In total, strongly speaking in support of this project for the badly needed affordable housing and quality job generation with it. Thank you.
The next speaker is Donna Caban, followed by Emily and Rachel Wysong. Donna Caban, please unmute yourself. Donna Caban, please unmute yourself.
We can go to the next one and come back if she can get online.
Yes, Mayor. The next speaker is Emily, followed by Rachel Wysong and Dr. G. Emily, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Emily Moore. I've a recent Livermore transplant. I've lived here for almost 3 years. I live in the downtown area. I work in Livermore and I volunteer in this community. I'm also a Livermore voter. I am very much in support of the Eden Housing Project. In this short time that I've been here, I've seen the high housing prices push out friends and colleagues from being able to work where we live. I believe that this project supports an equitable and diverse community and local workforce, and I really think it's important that everyone who works in Livermore can also afford to live here. So thank you for all the neighbors that have spoken out in support of this project this evening, and to the council, I urge you to please vote yes on the Eden Housing Project. Thank you.
The next speaker is Rachel Wysong, followed by Dr. G and Donna Caban. Rachel, please unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Rachel Wysong. I have lived in this area since 2007. My husband has worked at Lawrence Livermore Labs. since even before that. I am heavily in support of the Eden Housing Project and affordable housing in general. We actually left the area for a little while because we could not afford to live here. We have moved back and love this community and want our friends and family to also be able to live and work in this community. This is a great start, but we have a lot more work to do. As you can tell from the need on this call, there are a lot of people looking for housing, and this is not quite enough units. I hope that this gets approved, and I hope we start thinking of solutions as a community together to provide more housing for everybody who wants to live here. Thank you.
The next speaker is Dr. G, followed by Brandon Evans and Isaiah Campbell. Dr. G, please unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Ian Kay. I've lived here since 2003. I run a business here and I hire people here all the time. One thing I will say about this downtown housing going up is that traffic will be absolutely terrible and there will be no parking for all the cars that are going to be there. One other comment, Brett mentioned that we have the beautiful hills of Livermore. And the reason we have those beautiful hills of Livermore is we control the growth, and we should not forget to do that here. I hear a lot of comments here about basically providing subsidized housing for the workers of the local businesses. And maybe we should think about increasing their salaries as opposed to just providing subsidies so we can keep the salaries low. One thing to remember as well is that bad housing in badly run cities is driving people away, and they are coming to Livermore because we run the city well. Let's keep it that way. Just say no. Thank you.
The next speaker is Brandon Evans, followed by Isaiah Campbell and Lynn Wallace-Naylor. Brandon Evans, please unmute yourself. Brandon Evans, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, council and neighbors. I strongly encourage the council to vote in concurrence with what has been the overwhelming majority of support for the Eden project tonight. While I've only been a resident of Livermore for about 3 years now, I have worked with several people who are born and raised in Livermore, and just this year have had to move elsewhere because the fair market rent has simply become too high. I support the Eden Housing Project. Thank you for your time.
Could we try Donna Caban again?
Yes, Mayor.
Does Donna Caban still have her hand raised? And
yes, I do.
Oh, great. Thank you.
May I speak now?
Yes.
The critical issue Eden Housing needs to answer tonight is the level of contamination on their site. The chemicals of concern include arsenic, lead, petroleum, hydrocarbons, and volatile organic compounds. These chemicals can cause cancer, learning disabilities, and other serious health issues. Has the site been checked for PFAS? If not, why not? Eden must explain how it will address these concerns and the cleanup. Any Eden housing on this site must be delayed until the contamination issues have been fully evaluated, the results shared with the public, and the site proven to be contamination-free. The safest solution would be to move Eden Housing off the former Lucky site. We must have a safe downtown free of contamination. Thank you.
The next speaker is Isaiah Campbell, followed by Lynn Wallace Naylor and Victoria. Isaiah Campbell, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Isaiah Campbell. I'm an educator and 16-year resident in the city of Livermore. Plans for this project that's being discussed tonight began over a decade ago and have been negotiated and refined little by little since then. In the meantime, past and prospecting residents have had to stop considering Livermore as an option for where they can live because they've been priced out. Many educators I work with first moved to Livermore through subsidized housing and have since been able to buy homes within the community, but they would never have been able to come here without those options. No plan will ever be perfect, and I think adding years to the planning phase won't make it so, especially considering that we've seen misinformation will lengthen this process with every what if. But for many in need of affordable housing, years, months, and even weeks could be the difference between staying in or leaving Livermore, or between having somewhere to live and not. So I support Eden Housing Project, and I support housing that betters our community.
The next speaker is Lynn Wallace Naylor, followed by Victoria and Jackie Coda. Lynn Wallace Naylor, please unmute yourself. Lynn Wallace Naylor, please unmute yourself.
We can skip and try come back.
Yes, Mayor. The next speaker is Victoria, followed by Jackie Coda and Ian Carlin. Victoria, please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria Brahaney, and I'm a resident services manager for Eden Housing. And I'm honored to be a part of Eden. I've been with the company for 8 years. Let's see, Eden has a strong track record in Livermore and the Tri-Valley area for building and maintaining high quality affordable housing with a committed work staff. And I just wanted to briefly talk about some of the services that we have provided in some of the other Livermore properties in which I did work directly with residents at one time. So we have an after school program. It's a wonderful program. We help the students with homework and enrichment. Some of the other things for our seniors, oh gosh, we've done health and wellness type programs. We've even had a COVID vaccine clinic. And we've had financial literacy programs, resume writing, job search.
Okay. Thank you. Time is up.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Jackie Coda, followed by Ian Carlin and Lynn Wallace Naylor. Jackie Coda, please unmute yourself.
Once again, the city is not listening to the community. We had community outreach that told you specifically what we wanted downtown was parking, and we wanted housing, if it was put there, to be conducive to people who would be able to afford to frequent restaurants and businesses downtown. The city did not listen to us. They instead decided to bait and switch us and do the complete opposite of what the community has requested. It is unfortunate, but that seems to be a pattern with this council. All of the special interests that you invited tonight and your family members are absolutely biased in their opinions and irrelevant. We would appreciate, and we do oppose this housing because it's not needed. Since we discussed this item, Legacy has been built and is now bringing in housing downtown. So therefore Eden housing is not needed or desired. We would appreciate you doing something different other than affordable housing. The housing that has been presented is not conducive to proper living downtown. Furthermore, we are tired of the city glossing over our request, just like tonight. You bait and switch the inexperienced public by skipping over all the items under the consent calendar and ramrodding it down our throats.
Okay, thank you.
Putting back 4.8.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Ian Carlin, followed by Lynn Wallace and 09. Ian Carlin, please unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you. So the pandemic has taught us one thing. It's compassion. It's caring about others. The previous speaker clearly cares about cars and cares about the rich, doesn't care about the fact that every day, every Saturday, I walk past or run past or drive past St. Michael's Church, and there's a line around the block of people looking for food because they're hurting. People who can't afford their rent but want to stay in the town they grew up in, or live in the town because they want to work for the lab and just can't do that. We need to have compassion. We need to support the most vulnerable, and that might mean sacrificing and walking an extra block. And I'm sorry if caring for other people inconveniences you, but let's be honest. If we can't look out for each other, what are we doing here? Thank you.
The next speaker is Lynn Wallace Naylor, followed by 09 and Monith Ilavarsan. Lynn Wallace Naylor, please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Terrific, thank you. Good evening. My name is Lynn Naylor, and I'm the CEO of Innovation Tri-Valley Leadership Group. ITV connects the businesses, research labs, educational institutions, and civic leaders in the Tri-Valley Innovation Hub. I'm here to share the voice of the employers from all across the region in strong support of this project. It gives Tri-Valley leaders tremendous pride to know that the city of Livermore is respecting the community process that has been carefully followed over many years and is working to provide the region with what all of our employers are asking for, much needed housing stock at a variety of price points. We are incredibly fortunate to have the talented Eden Housing team working on this project, and we thank you, Mayor, City Council, and staff for your leadership on behalf of all of the people of Livermore and our region. Thank you.
The next speaker is 09, followed by Monith Ilavarasan and Matt Reagan. 09, please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
We can skip and come back.
The next speaker is Monith Ilavarsan, followed by Matt Reagan and Darcy Kent. Monith Ilavarsan, please unmute yourself.
Hello, everybody. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to the city clerk for doing a great job with my name. It is Monith Ilavarsan, so thank you. So my name is Monith Ilavarsan. I'm a Tri-Valley resident. I do work with Genesis, a multi-faith-based group of organizations dedicated to making positive change in our communities. We have member congregations in Pleasanton as well as Livermore. I also volunteer with Fertile Groundworks located in Livermore, and I'm kind of proud to say that I've spent a stupid amount of money at the donut place in downtown Livermore. So I'm one of the people who frequents downtown Livermore. I really love it there. I'm here to speak in support of the Eden Housing Project in downtown Livermore. Affordable housing is a huge problem all across the Tri-Valley. Put very simply, living in the Tri-Valley is out of reach for a majority of everyday working people. I've seen friends and family have to move out of the Tri-Valley because they can no longer afford to live here. Projects like Eden Housing are one step forward in solving the issue of available affordable housing. I'm proud that a city in my region is taking tangible steps in addressing this issue. Thank you.
Next speaker is Matt Reagan, followed by Darcy Kent and 09. Matt Reagan, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Matt Regan with the Bay Area Council here speaking on behalf of our 350 employer members. Everything that I was going to say about this great project has already been said. So I would, as well as working at the Bay Area Council, I sit on ABAG's Regional Planning Committee, and I was a member of ABAG's RENA Methodology Committee. And ABAG just approved their draft RENA numbers for the 2023-2031 cycle just last week. And Livermore received 4,570 housing units that Livermore City's planning staff is going to have to very shortly create a housing element to accommodate that very large number. Any deficits from previous cycles will be added to that number under SB 828. So I would urge you to, and we also know that laws have been passed in Sacramento in recent years to take away local discretion for cities that are not meeting their housing obligations. So I would urge the city to take a long, hard look at this project and to approve it, because otherwise you run the risk of getting a project that's not within your discretion to say yes or no to. So I would urge you to say yes to a great project from a great developer and a great architect. Thank you so much.
The next speaker is 09, followed by Mani Knopp and Asa Strout. 09, please unmute yourself.
Okay,
please.
Let's try again later.
Yes, Mayor. The next speaker is Mani Knopp, followed by Asa Strout and Galaxy S10. Mani
Point of
Knopp.
order. Are we skipping Darcy Kent? I see them on my screen.
She already spoke. I just didn't lower her hand.
No, I don't believe she did.
Oh, then let me unmute her. Darcy Kent, if you can unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Darcy Kent. I want to thank the mayor, the city council, and the staff for the brilliant planning of this Eden housing project. If you all can remember back a couple years and even longer, I've been working on this with them and following this for over 20 years. But the entire Lucky site was to be for affordable housing. It was the great strategy to allow half of that to be moved off and traded for a park for the Stockman Rodeo Foundation veterans to honor the veterans. This allowed us to have a cultural core that will have a black box theater and a science center, as well as park and retail. The other half of the site is beautiful housing and greatly needed. And without this incredible strategy and working together within the community with the veterans, with the Stockman's Association, with the Eden Housing, we would have never been able to come this far. Thank you.
The next speaker is Mani Knopp, followed by Asa Strout and Galaxy S10. Mani Knopp, please unmute yourself.
I grew up in tent cities and refugee camps in third world countries, and I know what it means to not to have a home. Even when I arrived in the United States, we've always lived in an affordable housing unit. As such, I am very much in support of the affordable housing. The question a lot of us have is, does Eden Housing have to be built in a proposed location now, or will the city council be willing to reconsider its location? I understand that the task to relocate will not be easy, but we should explore every possible alternative if the possibility of a location change does exist. This is once in a lifetime project, and whatever we finalize and build, it will be permanent, forever changing the landscape of our beautiful downtown. Relocating housing will allow for more open space in the form of a larger park. Without a doubt, a larger park in downtown Livermore would not only allow for all of us to enjoy it now, but many future generations as well. We have waited long enough, so why not listen to our residents now too? Work together and make the change. Please consider relocating Eden Housing.
The next speaker is Asa Strout, followed by Galaxy S10 and 09. Asa Strout, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, staff. Thanks for taking the time. I just want to start by getting this out of the way. I was born and raised in Livermore. I'm raising my kids. I'm a property owner. I pay taxes. My mom grew up here. My grandpa built the house here. All the other annoying stuff that everyone's been saying to give them credence. That doesn't matter, because what matters is we are in a housing crisis where individuals are being priced out of our lovely city. The fact of the matter, these houses are going to Livermore residents and people who work here. They're members of our community and they're being forced out. Once they're out, they never come back. You want to talk about building a house forever? Building a community is forever. And you have people, my friends, my family, they live out of state because that's how expensive it is in the Bay Area. And that is because there is a significant lack of housing supply. The fact that a family of 4 needs a 6-figure income is obnoxious. So we need this housing and we need this. I will quickly add one more thing, is everybody who's saying we should move it is not providing a proper alternative. There's no alternative that is economically viable unless those wealthy individuals who are suggesting it pitch in, donate $150 million to the city and pay for the project themselves. Anything else isn't going to work. Thank you.
The next speaker is Galaxy S10, followed by 09 and Susan Putnam. Galaxy S10, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Chris Hasey, a lifelong Livermore resident, tracing family roots back to the early 60s here. First, let me say that I am 100% in favor of affordable housing in Livermore. I think it's obvious that there is a housing crisis in the state and in the city. I'm just absolutely not in favor of building it in downtown Livermore at the proposed site. One other thing I would add, that the majority of the speakers in today's meeting in favor of it seem to have an economic incentive in one way or another to be in favor of it, while the majority of people opposed seem to be just Livermore residents. And I think that holds true in my own life, that I can't find very many people that I interact with that are in favor of it, the plan as it currently is. I think there are other sites in Livermore where we could build affordable housing if we cared to look for them. And one last thing I would say, that if we go through with this, we should probably rename that section of L Street Eden Canyon, because that's what it's going to be. And it's going to forever change what should be an opportunity to make Livermore downtown a shining star. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to give 09 one more shot, followed by Susan Putnam, followed by Ron Corral.
Okay, we're gonna let that go. Oh, go ahead.
No, sir, go ahead.
I was gonna say, we've got 09, and I don't know if there was anybody else, but let's just go to the end of this and we'll go ask for 09 again.
Okay, Susan Putnam will be followed by Ron Corral, followed by Fit Petty. Susan Putnam, please unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Susan Putnam. I've been a resident of Livermore for 12 years. With the current Eden plan, the City Council and the Mayor have effectively silenced the voices of Livermore residents who by a 4-to-1 majority oppose the plan. From early input meetings on this project, Livermore residents expressed a desire for more open space to keep our downtown vibrant, attractive, and accessible. You have refused to explore viable alternatives that meet the needs of all Livermore residents and that will build the future economy of our downtown. The massive adjacent apartments now in progress, combined with the planned 4-story Eden buildings, will create a closed environment and take away forever the opportunity to have a beautiful downtown, attract residents and visitors to our restaurants and shops, while also addressing the need for affordable housing. Vote no on the Eden plan to vote yes for the future of Livermore. Thank you.
The next speaker is Ron Carell, followed by Fit Petty, followed by Linda Milanese. Ron Carell, please unmute yourself.
Hello, thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. I'm a Livermore resident. I'm also a Livermore voter, as those people have said. But mainly I'm a human being, which I think is more important. And I'm also a former person who was homeless and working in this area. So I know what it's like to be a working person who can afford housing in the area. And I just say I would support this project. I really appreciate the people who have spoken that support this project. Livermore downtown, I think it's lovely, it's beautiful. I think the building project, the way it's built and the way it looks will be beautiful. I don't think it'll be an eyesore. And I just need to say, I think Livermore downtown, we have plenty of restaurants, we have coffee shops. I think Livermore is great on parks, and we would still have a park with this housing complex as well. But what we need are housing, and people need housing. And I think, like someone said, if you're a little bit inconvenienced because you have to walk a little more for parking, I'm willing to walk another block or two if someone can get a house to live in. So I think we need to kind of have our priorities. And I also want to say I really appreciate Livermore's diversity, being a part of the LGBTQ community. And I think this would help just increase our diversity and put an investment in the future. So please, I hope this project gets a yes vote. Thank you.
The next speaker is Fit Petty, followed by Linda Milanese, followed by Carol Silva. Fit Petty, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Fit Petty. A common theme I've noticed tonight is that there's a lot of long-term residents, but I'm going to change that up a little bit. So as a soon-to-be college graduate, I strongly support this project. Livermore is a city I love, but without ample affordable housing, I fear that I and many in a similar situation as I will be unable to be a part of this community. This project goes to encourage diversity among younger potential Livermore residents. And without diversity in not only ethnic backgrounds, but also age, to be involved in the community, what community is there? And lastly, I'd like to add one thing that has been sort of a common theme throughout this whole thing is the idea of parking in Livermore. And as the amount of time I've spent in Livermore and Livermore downtown, I haven't really noticed a lack of parking. Having to walk a block or two to wherever you wish to go, I don't believe constitutes a parking problem. I feel like there is more of a walking problem. Thank you.
The next speaker is Linda Milanese, followed by Carol Silva, followed by Ali Felker. Linda Milanese, please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Linda Milanese. My husband Don and I have lived in Livermore for a long time. We've raised 3 kids here. I'm a former Livermore high school teacher, and Don was an original founder of Las Positas College. I say this because, needless to say, we care a great deal about our town. We believe there's a pressing need for affordable housing, but we also believe preserving open space downtown is just as important. I think the controversy about Eden housing has deteriorated to an us versus them situation that is unnecessary. We all support both housing and open space. We can have both by moving the housing a short walk away. please reconsider the present plan and make it a win-win for both sides of this fabricated controversy. Thank you.
The next speaker is Carol Silva, followed by Ali Felker, followed by R. Law. Carol Silva, please unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Carol Silva, a Livermore resident who opposes the currently proposed location of Eden Housing at L Street and Railroad Avenue. I am in favor of the development being moved a short distance away from the downtown business core, which can increase the number of housing units from 130 to 230 units, can provide affordable housing to essential workers, can increase the number of residential parking spaces, and it would allow the creation of a beautiful, larger central park in downtown business core for visitors and residents to enjoy. A downtown alternative describes in detail an option to how the beauty of downtown can be increased by having a larger central park while increasing the affordable housing units and accomplishing this in a fiscally responsible manner. Please look at the downtown alternative objectively and do what is right for this generation, for many future generations of Livermore residents and visitors, and for downtown businesses. Thank you.
The next speaker is Ali Felker, followed by R. Law, followed by Lori Souza. Ali Felker, please unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Ali Felker. I like to consider myself the resident loudmouth of Livermore. I am speaking today in favor of the Eden Housing Project. As we all know, affordable housing is desperately needed. And in this case, as other speakers have pointed out, any other options are just simply not viable. That land was purchased using affordable housing money, and we just don't have any other viable options. However, I do agree with Speaker David Kent, who stated that any alternatives can be looked at as additions. Why not do both? We know that this is so much of an issue and that affordable housing is so desperately needed. I also do like that it is that we're looking at putting this in the downtown because of the walkability. I think it would be a great opportunity for residents to be able to walk to our downtown, whether that's for work or for enjoyment. And I also just want to say that I am completely appalled at some of the opposition's blatant classist statements of not wanting certain people in this town. I think that's just terrible. Thank you.
The next speaker is R. Law, followed by Lori Souza, followed by a Zoom user. R. Law, please unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Randy Law. I wanted to start by saying I'm actually kind of a new resident here in Livermore. I've only been here in my current location for about 3-4 years. And I actually just purchased this location from my original lease last year. And this decision was made. I moved to Livermore because Livermore didn't have this massive high-rise housing, multifamily housing. And I actually purchased a place directly across from where this is proposed to be done. I'm in the Station Square condominiums, and I absolutely made my decision on knowing that this would be an open area, park area and whatnot. So I think there's 3 other callers that nailed it on the head for me, and that was Linda Melanie, Monty Knopp, and Galaxy S10. So I hope you can go back to this recording and listen to their, I guess I'm done. Okay, so at any case, everything is right in terms of needing housing for low income, but this one is just in the wrong spot, guys. I mean, let's face it.
The next speaker is Lori Souza, followed by a Zoom user, followed by Greenbelt Alliance. Lori Souza, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Mayor Warner and City Council. I've been a resident in Livermore for 42 years, and I urge you to approve the Eden Housing Project. I think Eden has delivered a proposal that meets our requirements, and they have a great reputation for building quality. Please don't be misled by those who suggest there is an alternative plan. As you know, none exists. Thank you.
The next speaker is Zoom user, followed by Greenbelt Alliance, followed by Rick Nordike. Zoom user, please unmute yourself.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. This is Deborah McQueen, and I am a 28-year resident of Livermore. Thank you to the city staff and the mayor and council for tonight's meeting. I'm representing myself, not everyaction.com or courbanize.com, which are large national and East Bay lobbying groups hired by Eden Housing to build groundswell support for this meeting and their project's objectives. I'm voicing my concern over the city council and the mayor's current focus supporting the interest of developers over the interest of the public. The city council and mayor were notified of these lobbying efforts and showed no concern. The voices of the citizens of Livermore are being diminished by multi-million-dollar developers using multi-million-dollar lobbying groups to drown out their opposition. I am requesting that the council vote no on the Eden Housing Project at this time and seek a more balanced option in the future. Thank you.
The next speaker is Greenbelt Alliance, followed by Rick Nordike, followed by Matt Toomey. Greenbelt Alliance, please unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Zoe Siegel, and I'm the Director of Climate Resilience at Greenbelt Alliance. For those who are unfamiliar with Greenbelt Alliance, we're an environmental nonprofit that works to protect open spaces and encourages climate-friendly housing developments. And we're proud to endorse Eden Housing's downtown Livermore apartments and believe it is exactly what Livermore needs to meet their environmental and equity goals. As others have stated before me, there is no alternative. Climate impacts are increasing every year. If we want to lessen the devastating impacts from wildfire smoke, we need to reduce our carbon footprint by building climate-friendly buildings in existing transit-oriented communities, exactly like this one. Since this project is already in the urban downtown area, only half a mile from the train station and within the immediate vicinity of 4 bus stops, the project would play an important role in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. If you care about climate change, social equity, or affordable housing, Greenbelt Alliance would like to urge you to do the right thing and approve this project today. Thank you.
The next speaker is Rick Nordike, followed by Matt Toomey, followed by Wayne Cool. Rick Nordike, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Rick Nordike of Livermore. For some reason, the majority of speakers tonight seem to think the low-cost housing is going away if Eden Project is voted down. It would merely be moving across the street. Normally, with a project of this size, the council would have released detailed information with pros and cons in the interim. Instead, details were glossed over and the council told us that the Eden Project was best. It wasn't until this last week that a detailed plan was released by Mr. Pelagic. Why didn't the council put this out a long time ago? For the longest time, these details have been the proverbial elephant in the room with Mayor Warner sitting on top. Regardless, I'm convinced, like many others, the housing belongs on North Railroad and a full park should be constructed on Veterans Way. I've always believed that if you're going to do something, do it right, even if it takes an extra year or two, considering how long it's been as it has. And by the way, the project on North Railroad would also be employing carpenters, painters, electricians, and iron workers, etc. Thanks for your time.
The next speaker is Matt Toomey, followed by Wayne Cool, followed by Judy Thompson. Matt Toomey, please unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Matt Toomey and I strongly support this project. I've seen firsthand how this would help many valued community members who should have the opportunity to live where they work. My kids' teachers aren't able to live in the city where they teach. Hardworking families where both parents have important jobs that support our community are not able to live in Livermore. With this housing project, Livermore will continue to thrive and grow in a moderate and managed way. I was not born here, but I have worked in Livermore for nearly 20 years, and I've only been able to afford to live here since 2016. I'm proud to raise my family here, and I wish for the same for other families who deserve that opportunity. Thank you.
The next speaker is Wayne Cool, followed by Judy Thompson, followed by Michael Ferrucci. Matt Toomey, please unmute yourself.
No, we just had Matt.
My apologies. I didn't lower his hand. Wayne Cool, please unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Wayne.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Wayne Cool. I grew up here in the Tri-Valley, and I'm again, recent resident of Livermore. It's been a very unaffordable place to live for a long time, but I do spend a lot of time here and money here on restaurants and other activities downtown. And the overwhelming theme in interacting with people is that, you know, everybody is driving over the Altamont to get to work, and they're miserable. I have two daughters, 16 years old, and they're about to enter the workforce when they're done with school. And this is at the top of my mind. You know, we need to deal with these problems. A good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. If we're always looking for a perfect plan, we'll always be looking. Thank you.
The next speaker is Judy Thompson, followed by Michael Ferrucci, followed by Deetra Giannini. Judy Thompson, please unmute yourself. Judy Thompson, please unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Judy Thompson, and I think this is an essential, important decision. We love Livermore, and that's why we moved here. A big part of it is the downtown, which is so attractive. We have a once in a lifetime to do this bigger central park, which would make it even better. If you build on it now, you'll never ever get it back, and you may regret it. So please don't lose that central green space. And look, there are alternative sites for essential worker building, low cost. One of them is Pacific, and the other one is North Railroad. There's plenty of space, and with the good architects that Eden has, I'm sure they could make them look attractive. So please don't lose that essential space, and provide for the workers, the low-paid workers. One correction for that low-paid workers is that they could be paid more, because goodness knows restaurants make enough out of their high charges. So
thank you.
The next speaker is Michael Ferrucci, followed by Deetra Giannini, followed by Lynn Wallace-Naylor. Michael Ferrucci, please unmute yourself.
Hello, thank you for the time. My name is Michael Ferrucci. My wife Pam and I have lived in Livermore at the corner of 5th and South Livermore Avenue for over 40 years, and approximately 5.5 blocks away from a proposed Eden housing project of 130 low-income and very low-income housing units. First of all, let me tell you that my wife and I do not oppose having low-income and very low-income housing in Livermore. We do, however, oppose them being concentrated in our downtown core in the proposed area just a stone's throw from Stockman's Park and our boutique hotel, along with the other cultural amenities that are planned to enhance our downtown. We sincerely ask that you seriously consider an alternative plan to develop such housing along and north of Railroad Avenue. It only takes 3 of you on the city council to make this decision, and it truly respects the wishes and needs of the citizens who put you there. Please do the right thing and listen to the majority of the residents that are pleading with you tonight, and not the resident or the non-resident developers and investors that have no need to preserve and protect our downtown from what many believe to be an irreversible mistake. Please reconsider. I'd like to see a bigger park. Thank you.
The next speaker is Deetra Giannini, followed by Paul Speroni, and then we'll give 09 one more opportunity. Dietra Giannini, please unmute. Dietra Giannini, please unmute yourself.
Let's go to Paul and come back.
Okay. Paul Speroni, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Paul Speroni, and I live in Livermore. I own a business which has been located in Livermore for 26 years. I'm opposed to this project. Trying to cure housing problems with poor planning is simply unfair to the majority of Livermore residents who use the downtown. Less parking, less open space, more of a boxed-in feeling to the downtown area. This is not good planning. It is very poor planning. Good planning benefits all and can be looked at with pride down the road. Please use your votes to demand better planning from the Planning Commission. Find an alternative planning solution which benefits everyone involved. Please follow CEQA laws. Thank you very much.
And the last listed speaker is 09. 09, please unmute yourself.
Okay. So I think we've come to the end of this. What I would say is let's just wait one more minute, see if anybody else is going to raise their hand or 09 gets a chance. And then if not, we will adjourn to tomorrow. So
we do have more speakers that are raising their hands.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yes. So we have Eva, followed by Christy L. Turner, followed by Veronica Stewart Long. Eva, please unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Brian Bonner. I'm using my wife's computer and I couldn't change the screen name. But I would like to wholeheartedly support the idea of de-densifying the affordable housing as planned now, so that in fact we can get more housing downtown. I think that opens up the space for the park that the people who will move into legacy housing will certainly need, and all the future residents who might be living across on Railroad would also need. So in short, I think that we can gain a lot from listening to the many voices who've been raised tonight if we all work together. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Christy Turner, followed by Veronica Stewart Long. And 09 re-raised their hand, so we'll give them another shot after that. Christy Turner, please unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm Christy Turner, and I moved here in 2013. I moved here because I loved Livermore and Livermore downtown, and my husband and I got involved and went to all the focus groups and participated in making the drawings and the conceptions and all of that. I also made sure that I voted for continuing the project when it came up on the ballot. I don't like the concept as it is now because I don't agree with as dense as it looks, and I wish there was another alternative. I have become more involved. I read the staff report. I know that it meets all the requirements, but I still feel that another alternative should be looked at so that we can keep downtown, that particular area, open like we wanted it originally. That's it. Thank you.
We have Veronica Stewart Long, followed by 09, followed by Dietra Giannini. Veronica Stewart Long, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. There is no question about affordable housing in Livermore. We have the most and are the leaders in the Tri-Valley. Our commitment shows. All these people watching out for it are wasting time because we already agree. Who's watching out for our hometown? Is it you? If so, do you see the project area as a space or as a place? We agree on having the housing. The issue is one of vision for our downtown and planning the kind of place it will be. The downtown project area is a sacred place for residents. It is our heart. It is a place we all claim and we all use together. For us, it is a place. It appears the city is using it as a space. Is it putting an apartment complex there? That would be just as great in another spot. Putting apartments in a public place does not take advantage of the incredible resource available to us, and apartment complexes aren't activated public areas. We have an opportunity to do something special and unique. It could be turned into a beautiful, amazing place, but don't be fooled. Underneath all that spectacularness, we could have a strategically designed area engineered to facilitate positive interaction among diverse groups of residents. This would create and strengthen bonds and make the community safer, stronger, and more resilient. Do you understand that this area is a resource for us to use? There are few communities that get this chance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is 09, and I apologize, I'm not familiar with the symbols after 09. So if you could please unmute yourself.
I think we're done.
Nope. We have, sorry, no, we have two more. Deetra Giannini, followed by Mike Frederick. Deetra Giannini, please unmute yourself. Deetra Giannini, please unmute yourself.
Let's go to Mike.
Okay. Mike Friedrich, please unmute yourself.
Hi.
Oh, my apologies. I muted him by mistake. Mr. Friedrich, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi, 15-year Livermore resident. I wasn't going to speak tonight because I don't think anything I say or any of the other opponents say is going to have any effect. I think the deal is done. It's a fix. I have a great idea. How about all of the businesses that think this is a wonderful project, pay their workers a living wage? That's the problem. They want the public to subsidize their low wages so that they can have more or cheap employees. We've been lied to about the kind of workforce housing this was going to be. No teachers, firefighters, or police are going to get any of these places. We were told there was going to be lots of parking. There's going to be now probably a big parking problem because the project doesn't support or doesn't provide all the spaces it should. We were told that the city plan would provide more open space. Another lie. I'm just totally sick of this. I've been called a liar in public by this council, and now I really have to ask who was the liar. Thank you very much for your time.
Mayor, we still have the 09 person.
I don't think that's going to work. We've tried multiple times, so I think it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So I would like to thank everybody for their the public comment. And again, very impressive that everyone was so succinct and clearly articulate on their point. So really appreciate that. And what we're going to, so I'm closing the public comment now on item 5.2. And what we're going, and so that's no more input. And what we will be doing is reconvening after adjournment here to at 2 o'clock. And this will give the city council time to consider the information we got this evening, and the remainder of the agenda, including the deliberation of 5.2, will conclude tomorrow. And what we'll be doing as a council, asking staff and the applicant, clarifying questions. Then we'll be letting people know how we're thinking about this project, and then we'll be voting. And please see the city website for an updated Zoom link. And I really hope that everybody who participated this evening and made public comment will tune in tomorrow for the conclusion of this. The city clerk will also send a new link out to the agenda distribution list at the close of this meeting. So again, thank you all. And we're going to be adjourning to a regular meeting on May 25th, 2021 at 2 p.m. to conclude 5.2 and the rest of our agenda. Thank you so much for all your participation. Good night.